Chapter 281. Hearing this, Jiang Chen and Han Yan looked at each other. No wonder Master Blissful is able to occupy a place in the ocean, he's actually a demon lord from the ocean. Han Yan finally understood. The Blissful Manor will hold a large-scale trade fair every year, and it's a grand occasion. Many superpowers in the continent will send their mighty warriors there, and many rogue cultivators, strange people from the ocean, and even demon lords from the ocean will participate. This trade fair is extremely rare, and there will be a lot of rare treasures, especially those from the ocean. They are rarely seen in the continent. That's right, everyone will take what they need, and trade with each other. Who wouldn't want to try their luck in this trade fair? Even combat soul warriors will show up. Of course. Even superpowers like the Shengguan clan and myriad sword sect from the Jian province will send their men here, and even the Martial Palace and Martial Saint dynasty will show up. I heard that everyone who wants to enter the Blissful Island to participate in the trade fair will have to pay a certain fee to Master Blissful. Putting aside everything else, just the fee alone is an astronomical figure. Sigh, I'm so jealous of him. Jiang Chen and Han Yan heard the discussions of the crowd. With just a few words, they had given Jiang Chen a better understanding of the Blissful Island, and at the same time, it had given Jiang Chen hope for the 9 solar holy water. This was the main reason why he came to the ocean. In the next few days, more and more warriors arrived at the ocean. Most of them came from the 28 provinces of the eastern continent, and there were also some strange people from the ocean. They all wore different clothes, but all of them had pretty strong cultivation bases. Most of them were divine core warriors, and only a few were heavenly core warriors. All of them were heading in the same direction, the direction of the Blissful Island. They all had the same goal, the trade fair. The ocean waves kept rumbling, and the roars of powerful demons could be heard from time to time. However, when those demons sensed the powerful auras coming from the ocean, they immediately hid under the water, not daring to show their heads. During this period of time, the crowd passed by many islands. Some of them had beautiful sceneries, and they looked like a paradise from the ocean. Of course, most of them were deserted islands. The scenery of the ocean is really nice, and the natural yuan energy is abundant as well. This is a good place to cultivate. Han Yan exclaimed. Not only that, but there are also all kinds of rare treasures in the ocean. However, compared to the mainland, life in the ocean is too monotonous. Moreover, the environment is too monotonous. It's not as colorful as the mainland. Jiang Chen said. Jiang Chen and Han Yan's speed was extremely fast. Early in the morning, the two of them saw an island floating on the surface of the sea. Under the reflection of the morning sun, the entire island emitted a faint glow. From a distance, the island looked like a mirage, floating at the top of the coastline. With Jiang Chen and Han Yan's eyesight, they could already see the white mist floating above the island. We're here. The Blissful Island is right in front of us. De Huang Dog said. Soon, the three of them arrived at the edge of the Blissful Island. It was a beautiful island, and from where Jiang Chen stood, he could already see the scenery of the island. Verdant hills, clear waters, green pine trees, and a waterfall that reached the sky. The island was covered in mist, and it looked like a paradise on earth. Just a glance at it was enough to make people feel relaxed and happy. Damn! Master Blissful really knows how to choose a place. Living here, even if I don't cultivate, I can still prolong my life. Han Yan couldn't help but say. I have to say, this is indeed a good place. Jiang Chen praised as well. The person who chose this island must be someone who knew how to enjoy life. Obviously, Master Blissful was a person who knew how to enjoy life. At this moment, a lot of people had already gathered outside the Blissful Island. These people were standing in groups of 2 or 3, floating above the water. There were at least 100 of them, and more people were appearing behind them. What are these people doing here? Why aren't they going in? Han Yan asked, puzzled. Where did these idiots come from? Don't they know the rules of the blissful island? When a cultivator heard Han Yan's words, he immediately shot him a disdainful look. Bastard, don't you know how to talk? Are you courting death? Big Yellow scolded the cultivator. Although he always quarreled with Han Yan, when it came to the time to face an enemy, he would definitely stand united against the enemy. The fuck? Where did this dog come from? How dare you talk to your grandpa like that? You're the one courting death. The cultivator was even more arrogant. After saying that, he directly grabbed towards the Huang dog, completely ignoring Jiang Qin. Paw! Jiang Chen raised his palm and slapped the cultivator's face with lightning speed, sending him flying away. There were too many people who didn't know what was good for them. Not only did they not know what was good for them, they were also so annoying. Kid, how dare you hit me? The cultivator was instantly enraged. He pointed his finger at Jiang Qin, and 2 other cultivators came to his side. Obviously, they were his helpers. I hit you because I'm trying to save you. Jiang Qin said indifferently. What he said was true. If he didn't make a move to send that cultivator flying, that cultivator's arm would have been bitten off by the Huang dog. Now that they hadn't entered the blissful island yet, Jiang Qin didn't want to cause any trouble. However, that didn't mean he was afraid of trouble. If this cultivator didn't let him off, he wouldn't mind killing him here. What did you say? The cultivator was enraged. Just as he was about to make another move, a silhouette suddenly appeared in front of him. This silhouette was none other than Han Yan, whom he had just scolded as an idiot. Han Yan's palm was like a steel pincer as it landed on the cultivator's neck. An extremely dangerous aura was emitted from that palm, causing the cultivator's soul to tremble. If you don't want to die, you'd better be quiet in front of me. Han Yan said word by word. His gaze was like 2 sharp blades, causing the cultivator to lose the courage to look at him. He felt that he wasn't facing a young man, but a bloodthirsty and terrifying demon king. He had no doubt that if he dared to resist, he would be killed by this young man in front of him. It's a misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Please show mercy, brother. My friend was too impulsive, I apologize. No matter how hard the warrior struggled, he just couldn't break free from the Golden Lion's grip. How dare you talk about rules in the place where I, the Golden Lion, want to go? The Golden Lion was extremely arrogant. With a single grab, he killed the warrior with his bare hands, then he threw him into the ocean. After that, he continued walking toward the blissful island. That guy is really unlucky. If he doesn't know about the rules of the blissful island, he shouldn't have talked nonsense. A combat soul demon lord is extremely brutal, he died in vain. That's right, the rules of the blissful island don't apply to combat soul warriors. Combat soul warriors can enter the blissful manor whenever they want, and they will even be personally received by the master of the blissful manor. How can we compare with that? Many people shook their heads and sighed. That warrior had died an unjust death. A combat soul demon lord was simply too brutal, and his dignity was inviolable. Chapter 282. The trade fair hasn't started yet, no one is allowed to set foot on the blissful island. Those who violate this rule will be killed without mercy. A clear voice suddenly sounded out from the blissful island. Following that, everyone saw a bright light rising up from the island. Within the light was a young lady, or rather, a mermaid. The upper half of the lady's body was that of a human, and the lower half of her body was that of a fish. She was extremely beautiful, and her pair of big eyes were shining brightly. She was only wearing a thin green shirt, and her voluptuous body was enough to cause anyone who saw her to vomit blood. She was a divine core demon lord from the blissful manor. When the lady saw someone trying to break into the blissful island, she immediately came out to stop them. "Humph! Open your eyes wide and see who I am." The golden lion coldly harumphed as he threw a disdainful glance at the lady. "Yeah. Senior Golden Lion, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. Senior Golden Lion is a good friend of our master, and you're a combat soul warrior as well, that's why you're not restricted by the Blissful Island's rules. Please come in." When the lady saw the Golden Lion, her attitude instantly changed, and she immediately welcomed him into the Blissful Island. "Too bad we don't have such preferential treatment. Otherwise, we might be able to build a relationship with the Blissful Manor Master. When the trade fair begins, we'll have an advantage in this stronghold," someone said with envy. "We'll talk about that after you become a combat soul warrior. At that time, the Blissful Manor Master will definitely give you face," someone said. In this world where strength was everything, envy was useless. Strength was the most important thing. Another day had passed, and more people had gathered around the Blissful Island. They formed a dark mass, and the auras that these experts were casually emitting were enough to cover the sky and cover the earth. Ripples appeared on the surface of the water, and the sea demons below started to flee in all directions. Swoosh! Suddenly, a cry sounded out from afar. Everyone turned their heads toward the source of the cry, then they saw a huge eagle flying toward them with its wings spread wide open. It was an extremely powerful aura. 8 men were standing solemnly on the back of the eagle, 3 were old men, and 5 were young men. All of them were divine core warriors, and the old man who stood at the front was in his 50s. He had a powerful aura, and it was comparable to the golden lion who had appeared a day ago. He was another combat soul warrior. These 8 people were wearing the same green robes. Their faces were filled with a dark aura. They looked very unfriendly, as if they were about to kill at any moment. They are the men from the Qingyi sect in the Qing province. Their leader is Mao Xing, the chief elder of the Qingyi sect, and he is an early combat soul warrior. I didn't expect to see him here. Why do the people from the Qingyi sect have such ugly expressions? It's as if someone owes them money. You don't know. I heard that not long ago, 6 divine core disciples from the Qingyi sect were killed in the Serpent's Great Stream, and one of them was a rare genius from the Qingyi sect, Mao Fang. Besides, that Mao Fang is Mao Xing's grandson. Heavens, who is so bold to even dare to kill Mao Fang? They must be tired of living. No wonder Elder Mao Xing was so angry. So it was because his own grandson was killed. At this moment, Jiang Chen and Han Yan's gazes landed on the Qingyi sect. When the gazes of the 2 men and the dog landed on the eagle, their faces instantly changed. Not good, quickly restrain our auras. Jiang Chen grabbed a Huang dog and shoved him into his clothes. After that, he and Han Yan retracted their auras and hid in the crowd, not daring to move. Damn it, how could we forget about this eagle? Han Yan couldn't help but curse out loud. They had killed all the men from the Qingyi sect, so they wouldn't leave any evidence behind. However, they had forgotten about the eagle. Jiang Chen still remembered that when they arrived at the Serpent's Great Stream, the eagle had already disappeared. That was why they had forgotten about it. However, the eagle was an early divine core demon lord, and it was much smarter than humans. Jiang Chen wasn't sure if the eagle had seen how he killed Mao Fang and the other men. Now that the eagle was here, if they were recognized, they would be finished. What made them even more speechless was that Mao Fang had a combat soul grandfather, and he had personally come to the Blissful Island. Judging from Mao Xing's expression, if he knew that the man who killed his grandson was here, the consequences would be unimaginable. Swoosh! The men from the Qingyi sect dismounted from the back of the eagle. After that, the eagle retracted its wings and transformed into a middle-aged man in his 40s. He was wearing a black robe, and his sharp eagle eyes were constantly scanning the crowd. The black eagle furrowed his brows, as if he had smelled something familiar. However, after glancing around, he couldn't find anything because there were too many people here. Seeing this, Jiang Chen and Han Yan let out a sigh of relief. As long as the Black Hawk couldn't find them for now, once the trade fair started, they wouldn't be allowed to kill anyone in the blissful manner. A large trade fair like this had attracted too many powers and cultivators. With so many rare and precious treasures, it was very easy to rob someone. However, the fact that the Blissful Manor's trade fair had been going on for so many years showed how powerful the master of the Blissful Manor was. Therefore, no one dared act rashly in the trade fair. You guys stay here and wait for the trade fair to start. Mao Xing told the men from the Qingyi sect, then he started walking toward the Blissful Island. This was the privilege of a combat soul warrior. Not only could he enter the Blissful Manor at any time, he would also be personally welcomed by the Blissful Manor. I, old man Ling Shan, am here as well. Following a wild laugh, a skinny old man flew over from the distance and landed next to Mao Xing. Mao Xing, I heard your grandson was killed by someone, congratulations. Old man Ling Shan's words nearly made everyone vomit blood. His grandson was dead, and he was in a bad mood. Yet, you came here to congratulate him. Wasn't this just looking for trouble? Get lost. Mao Xing angrily glared at him. Old man Ling Shan burst into laughter. He took the lead and started walking toward the Blissful Island. Obviously, he wasn't afraid of Mao Xing. This old man Ling Shan is a weirdo. He is a rogue cultivator from the Qing province, and he's a combat soul warrior. This master dog am very famous. Didn't you hear that? You can only recognize little Chenzi when you see this master dog. The De Huang dog stayed in Jiang Chen's embrace obediently, and said proudly. When the men from the Myriad Sword sect arrived, the huge sword underneath their feet instantly turned back into an ordinary longsword, and was put away by the man who stood at the front of the group. He was an old man with an imposing appearance, and was also a combat soul warrior. Not long after the Myriad Sword sect arrived, a few more powerful auras arrived from the distance. A group of 7 to 8 men riding on flying shields arrived at high speed. The men on the shields were all extremely arrogant, and they didn't seem to be any weaker than the men from the Myriad Sword sect. They are from the Shangguan clan. The Shangguan clan is here as well. The annual trade fair is truly a grand event, even superpowers like the Myriad Sword sect and Shangguan clan are here. Chapter 283. The Myriad Sword sect and Shangguan clan were both superpowers in the eastern continent. Apart from the martial Saint dynasty, no one dared offend them. The men from the Shangguan clan were also led by a combat soul warrior. Shangguan Chong, I didn't expect to see you here as well. The combat soul elder from the Myriad Sword sect who had arrived at the edge of the blissful island couldn't help but say when he saw the men from the Shangguan clan. What? Are you telling me that only you, Yi Shao, are allowed to come here? Shangguan Chong said with an indifferent tone. Both men had just met, and the atmosphere was filled with hostility. It was obvious that they didn't have a good relationship with each other. However, after thinking about it for a bit, it made sense. As the saying goes, two tigers cannot live on the same mountain. The Myriad Sword sect and Shangguan clan were both superpowers in the Jian province, and it was natural for them to oppose each other. This was similar to the relationship between the four big sects in the Qi province. Humph. Yi Shao coldly harumphed. He ignored Shangguan Chong and started walking toward the inner area of the blissful island. Shengguan Chong also walked into the blissful island with an imposing manner. Little Qinzi, the myriad sword sect and Shengguan clan are here, and together with the Qingyi sect from the Qin province, all of your powerful enemies are here at the same time. If your identity is exposed, just thinking about it makes me feel excited. Han Yan said to Jiang Qin through divine sense. Why do I feel my scalp going numb? Jiang Qin glared at Han Yan. He was speechless. In such a grand occasion, if his identity was exposed, he would be dead for sure. He wouldn't even know how he died. Did you guys see that? Even those men from the Myriad Sword sect and Shengguan clan aren't allowed to enter the blissful island. They don't dare break the rules of the blissful island. Of course, Master Blissful is a powerful demon from the ocean. Even the Myriad Sword sect and Shengguan clan have to give him face. After all, this isn't the Eastern continent. Besides, I heard that Master Blissful has an immeasurable cultivation base. No one would dare break the rules set by him. Even for superpowers like the Myriad Sword sect and Shengguan clan, those below the combat soul realm weren't allowed to enter the blissful island in advance. They had to wait outside like ordinary people, and only enter when the trade fair began. There was only one day left until the trade fair, and more people had gathered outside the blissful island. Today, Jiang Qin and Han Yan were the most depressed. The eyes of the eagle from the Qingyi sect were too sharp, and it seemed like it had already sensed a familiar aura. For the whole day, its eyes had been flickering non-stop. If this continued, they would be discovered sooner or later. Fortunately, Jiang Qin and Han Yan were skilled at concealment. If it were anyone else, they would have been discovered long ago. Damn, that black hawk is so troublesome. It will find us sooner or later. Han Yan said gloomily. That's right. Little brat, don't tell me you're going to let this lord dog stay in your arms forever. The trade fair is such a big event. How can this lord dog be absent? The one who felt the most depressed was De Huang Dog. He had been cooped up in Jiang Chen's arms for the whole day, and he had almost gone crazy. Looks like I have no choice but to expose myself. The trade fair is going to start soon. Once I enter the blissful island, I'll try my best to avoid that black hawk. Even if I can't, it doesn't matter. After all, the blissful island has a restrictive barrier. I don't think those men from the Qingyi sect have the guts to attack me. A cold light flickered in Jiang Chen's eyes. He wasn't a man who was afraid of getting into trouble. He's able to fight a soul warrior with just a mid-divine core cultivation base. Many people were shocked by what they saw. Being able to withstand a strike from an early combat soul warrior and survive wasn't shocking at all. It was said that the abnormal geniuses of the martial palace could fight early combat soul warriors with just a peak divine core cultivation base. However, this young man in front of them was only a mid-divine core warrior, and this was a huge contrast. You're using Er's 9 murdering flood dragons. Little bastard, I'll definitely kill you today. The people next to him were whispering. Although they didn't dare to speak loudly, the way they looked at Jiang Qin was obviously different, as if they were looking at an idiot. Little Qinzi, why did you exchange a high-ranked combat weapon for a piece of scrap metal? He was just testing the waters, and he never expected Jiang Qin to be really interested in it. Chen, Jiang brother, the difference between 500,000 pieces of elixir and 1,000 pieces of elixir is just too huge. I don't think you should bargain like this, right? The old man had a bitter expression on his face. However, the crowd couldn't stand it anymore. This old fart didn't know when to stop. He actually sold a broken bronze plate for 500,000 pieces of elixir. He must be thanking the gods. If you don't want to sell it, then forget it. I feel like I'm suffering a loss. Jiang Chen casually threw the bronze plate into the old man's arms, then he turned around and left. Young Master Chen Jiang, don't worry. 500,000 it is, I'll sell it to you cheaply. When the old man saw Jiang Chen leave, he immediately pulled Jiang Chen's sleeve and shoved the bronze plate into Jiang Chen's hand. 500,000 pieces of elixir was equivalent to 50 pieces of elixir. It was a lot. Besides, this bronze plate was useless to him, so he might as well exchange it for some cultivation resources. Jiang Chen took out a storage pouch and threw it to the old man, then he put away the bronze plate and left. Old fart, you're so lucky. Someone teased him, and the old man packed up his stall with a bright smile on his face. He even whistled as he left the place. On the other side, Jiang Chen hadn't even taken a few steps when he saw the burly man carrying a pig in his hand. The burly man ran up to Jiang Chen and said, "Young Master Chen Jiang, I can tell you're a man with a keen eye. My ancient golden mammoth only costs 100 earth restoration pills, young Master Chen Jiang. If you buy it, I'm sure you won't suffer a loss. It will be a great help to you in the future." What the fuck? Han Yan had an impulse to slap this man's face. This guy really thought Jiang Chen was a spendthrift. Obviously, this man had witnessed Jiang Chen's performance just now, and he thought Jiang Chen was just a rich fool. If he wanted to sell the pig today, he would have to sell it to young Master Chen Jiang. How could he let go of such a great opportunity? Damn it, you dare to call this stupid thing a golden elephant? Woof! The Huang dog barked at the pig. The pig seemed to be frightened, its eyes stared at the small dog in front of it, and its body began to tremble violently. In just a few breaths of time, the pig's hooves twitched, and its eyes closed. It was dead. How could an ordinary animal withstand the fright of the Huang dog? Brother, your golden elephant was scared to death. Some people laughed and jeered. What golden barbaric elephant? Even a dog can scare it to death. That's ridiculous. Many people burst out in laughter. Young Master Chen Jiang, your pet scared my golden elephant to death. You can't just let this go, right? The robust man casually threw the pig aside as if it was a piece of trash and said to Jiang Chen. It seemed that he wanted to extort money from Jiang Chen. Oh. What do you want then? Why don't I give my dog to you? I wonder if you have the guts to accept it. Jiang Chen looked at the robust man with interest. The Huang dog bared his teeth. This bastard dares to accept me. I guarantee that I won't live to see tomorrow's sun. Why would I want your dog? You just have to compensate me with 100 elixir pills. The robust man said. Get lost. Jiang Chen's face turned cold. He really didn't want to tangle with this kind of person. Swish. That glare made the robust man's soul tremble. He felt a chill run down his spine. Only now did he remember what kind of person this young man was. He could even kill disciples of the Qingyi sect. If he offended this young man, he wouldn't even know how he died. Even if Jiang Chen didn't dare to kill him on the blissful island, once the trade fair was over, Jiang Chen could kill him with a single slap. Old man, you're really ruthless. Someone said. 500 earth elixir, not one less. The old man didn't even look at the man, he just said with an indifferent tone. He knew that if one didn't really need a demon soul, one elixir would be too expensive. If one really needed a demon soul, he would buy it even if it cost him 500 earth elixir. 500 earth elixir, I'll buy it. After that, Jiang Chen threw a storage bag onto the old man's stall. Everyone immediately looked over. Some of them knew Jiang Chen, and they couldn't help but sigh. It's him again. This Chen Jiang is really rich. 500 earth elixir, and he didn't even bat an eyelid. Yeah, I heard that he exchanged a battle weapon for a piece of scrap metal the day before yesterday, and he also exchanged 500 earth elixir for a broken bronze plate. Rich people are really human. Everyone was discussing in low voices. Jiang Chen had a faint smile on his face. He didn't care about it at all. As long as it was useful to De Huang Dog, it was worth it no matter how much money he spent. When the old man saw the 500 earth elixir, his eyes instantly lit up. The way he looked at Jiang Chen changed as well. He immediately said, "Little brother, please accept this." The old man handed over the flaming stallion's demon soul. "Hold on." Just then, a voice rang out from behind them. 3 young men in white with swords on their backs walked over. There were 2 men and 1 woman. Their faces were filled with undisguised arrogance, and they walked with an air of arrogance. Damn it, this master dog hates people who look like they're owed money. De Huang Dog said in a vicious manner. They're from the Myriad Sword Sect. That man looks like Lin Enning from the Myriad Sword Sect. I heard he's a rare genius among the core disciples of the Myriad Sword Sect, and he has already obtained a spot to enter the martial palace. Those from the Myriad Sword Sect aren't easy to deal with, let's hurry up and make way for them. This Lin Enning is a peak divine core warrior, and he has the highest chance of breaking through to the combat soul realm in a short period of time. He's one of the strongest warriors among the younger generation. Many people looked at Lin Enning with fear. In the Eastern continent, besides the martial Saint dynasty, superpowers like the Myriad Sword Sect and the Shengguan clan were the true superpowers. Everyone respected them, and no one dared offend the core disciples of the Myriad Sword Sect. I found this demon's soul first, I want it. Lin Enning arrived in front of the stall and said. Fuck you, get the hell out of this master dog's sight. De Huang Dog couldn't take it anymore. Damn it, he had seen shameless people, but he had never seen someone as shameless as this. Lin Enning had already paid for the demon's soul, why did he, Lin Enning, find it first? Where did this damn dog come from? How dare you talk to senior disciple Lin like this? Are you courting death? The girl shouted at De Huang Dog. Get the hell out of here, damn bitch. Look at your ugly face, your face looks like a shoehorn. How dare you show yourself here? Hurry up and go back to where you came from, stop disgusting us. De Huang Dog was so angry that he felt like his lungs were going to explode. How dare these 3 bastards come out and fight with him? So what if they were from the Myriad Sword Sect? In De Huang Dog's mind, the Myriad Sword Sect was nothing. Damn dog. The girl was furious. As a girl who loved to look beautiful, how could she tolerate such words? She was so angry that she wanted to slap Big Yellow to death. However, she was stopped by Lin Enning. After all, this was the blissful manor, and fighting was not allowed during the trade fair. Lin Enning was the one who stopped her. Brother Jiang Chen, I am Lin Enning from the Myriad Sword Sect. Chapter 292. Jiang Chen didn't pay too much attention to what happened in the Myriad Sword Sect. They just casually strolled around, but they didn't find any good treasures. On the other hand, after De Huang Dog devoured the flaming stallion's demon soul, he laid down on Jiang Chen's shoulder and looked drowsy. Little Chenzi, De Huang is about to fall asleep. Han Yen said. It's a good thing for this dog to fall asleep. Let's go, we'll return to the courtyard immediately. Without saying anything, Jiang Chen turned around and left the square, heading back to the blissful manor. Every time De Huang Dog fell asleep, he would gain a huge harvest. The dragon horse bloodline was beyond imagination, and after De Huang Dog obtained the flaming stallion's demon soul, he would fall into a deep sleep once again. Perhaps, he would be able to break through to the late divine core realm. The flaming stallion's demon soul was no different from ordinary demon souls for ordinary people, but it was different for De Huang Dog. De Huang Dog possessed the dragon horse bloodline, and he was the king of all horses. He could absorb the bloodline of any kind of stallion in the world, and the improvement of his bloodline was much more powerful than the improvement of his strength. Therefore, after De Huang Dog obtained the flaming stallion's demon soul, he would receive a boost that was a few times greater than the demon soul itself. The change in his bloodline would allow De Huang Dog to break through to the late divine core realm. With De Huang Dog's mighty strength, once he broke through to the late divine core realm, he would have the strength to fight ordinary combat soul warriors. This would be a great help to Jiang Qin. After returning to the courtyard, De Huang Dog had already fallen asleep. Jiang Qin placed him in a room. A day quickly passed. The next day, when the sun had just risen, the entire blissful manor was bustling with noise and excitement. Today was the day of the auction that everyone had been looking forward to. The 3 days of the trade fair had come to an end, and today was the day of the real show. All the rare treasures would be auctioned off one by one. As everyone knew, the treasures auctioned off in the auction were not something the trade fair in the square could compare with. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on the courtyard's door. Jiang Qin opened the door and saw Xiao Wei standing outside with a smile on her face. Young Master Qin Jiang, the auction is about to start soon. The master said he would give young Master Qin Jiang a VIP treatment. This is the number 3 private room. Xiao Wei handed over a palm-sized plate to Jiang Qin. It was a beautiful plate made with gold, and the number 3 was carved on it. Jiang Qin and Han Yan were startled. They never thought Master Blissful would give them such treatment. Jiang Qin accepted the medallion with a smile. Miss Xiao Wei, please thank the Manor Lord on my behalf. Jiang Qin didn't have a bad impression of Master Blissful. When he was in conflict with Mao Xing, Master Blissful did help him. Also, Master Blissful must have been satisfied with Jiang Qin's performance that day. That's why he gave Jiang Qin the VIP treatment. There are still some things I need to take care of, Xiao Wei. Young Master Qin Jiang, you can head to the auction hall later. Take the plate, someone will bring you to the designated place. Xiao Wei bowed toward Jiang Qin, then she turned around and left. Before leaving, she didn't forget to turn around and give Jiang Qin a sweet smile. Little Qinzi, I'm pretty sure this girl likes you. Han Yan teased. Get lost. Jiang Qin glared at Han Yan. Right at this moment, a powerful aura suddenly burst out from one of the rooms. Beams of golden light shot out from the room, causing the air to tremble. It's De Huang, he's breaking through again. Jiang Qin was pleasantly surprised. Damn it, we had to pay an earth elixir to enter the blissful island, and now, we have to pay another earth elixir to enter the auction house. This blissful manor is so cruel. That's right, this is too cruel. But, it's just an earth elixir, it's not easy for us to come here, and if we don't go and have a look, I'm afraid we won't be able to sleep when we get back. It's just an earth elixir, we have to go and have a look at what kind of precious treasures are going to be auctioned. Many people were dissatisfied with the blissful manor's behavior, but most of them were still willing to enter the auction house. Even if they didn't have the strength to fight for treasures, they didn't want to miss out on such a grand event. They wanted to see what kind of precious treasures were going to be auctioned. Soon, Jiang Qin and Han Yan arrived at the entrance of the auction house. He took out the gold medal given to him by Xiao Wei, and the expression of the golden warrior, who was standing in front of him, instantly changed. He looked at Jiang Qin with deep respect. Dear guest, you are our VIP, so you don't need to pay any fees. Please follow me. The golden warrior made a gesture to Jiang Qin. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, Jiang Qin followed the golden warrior into the auction house and walked towards the second floor. The auction house was a semicircular building, and there was a 3-meter-tall stage in the middle of it. That was the auction stage, and below the stage were rows of neatly arranged seats. Each seat was positioned in a different position, ensuring that no matter where one sat, they would be able to clearly see the treasures on the stage. As for the second floor of the auction house, it was filled with VIP rooms. Those who could come here were all men with great power and influence. For example, every VIP room was guarded by a combat soul warrior, and Jiang Qin was definitely an exception. Soon, the third private room appeared in front of them. After Jiang Qin and Han Yan entered the room, the Golden Warrior closed the door behind them. The furnishings in the private room were very simple. A long wooden table was placed in the middle of the room, and in front of the table were a few huge rattan chairs. There was a layer of transparent glass in front of the table, and when looking down from the rattan chairs, one would be able to see the entire auction house, as well as all the items on the stage. This place is really nice. I didn't expect to be treated like this. Han Yan sat on the rattan chair with one leg crossed over the other. He had an enjoyable expression on his face. Compared to the crowded seats below, this was the VIP treatment. 10 minutes later, a deafening bell suddenly rang out in the auction house. The restless atmosphere instantly quieted down, and everyone saw an old man wearing a gray robe slowly descending from the sky. He landed on the auction stage in the middle of the hall. The old man looked to be in his 50s. His sleeves were clean, and his face was oily. He had an amiable smile on his face, and it was easy for people to have a good impression of him. Besides, this old man had a formidable cultivation base. He was a peak late divine core warrior. Cough cough. After the old man landed on the auction stage, he let out a few light coughs and cleared his throat. After that, he looked around and said with a loud and clear voice, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's auction. I'm the auctioneer, Su Ning, and I'll be the host of today's auction. Next, I'll explain the rules of the auction." The old man started talking non-stop, but in everyone's eyes, his opening speech was just nonsense. His name was Su Ning, and anyone could tell from his name that he was a capable man. If not, he wouldn't be the host of such a large-scale auction. Chapter 293. The entire hall remained silent. Everyone were staring at the auction stage, waiting for Su Ning to bring out his first auction item. Su Ning didn't disappoint the crowd this time. He didn't give a long speech like before. With a flip of his palm, a shining longsword appeared in his hand. When the longsword appeared, it immediately produced a buzzing sound, and it was shining with a cold light. Many people could tell that it was a high-ranked combat weapon, but it was just an ordinary high-ranked combat weapon. For divine core warriors, a high-ranked combat weapon was a precious treasure. Combat weapons were extremely precious. Ordinary early divine core warriors would have a hard time finding a high-ranked combat weapon due to their lack of wealth. There were even some mid-divine core warriors who didn't have a high-ranked combat weapon. After all, for those ordinary rogue warriors, it was extremely difficult for them to get their hands on cultivation resources and pills. The price of a high-ranked combat weapon was not cheap, and the lowest quality one would cost at least 100 to 200 earth restoration pills. Elixir was the lifeblood of all divine core warriors. Those rogue warriors didn't even have enough for their cultivation, let alone enough to buy a combat weapon. This is a high-ranked combat weapon. The starting price is 1 million elixir. The bidding begins now. Su Ning said. The starting price wasn't too high. 1,100,000, 1,200,000. The people downstairs were competing with each other. Some people had gotten some benefits from the trade fair, and they didn't have a high-ranked combat weapon with them, so they wanted to bid for it. On the other hand, the VIP area on the second floor was extremely quiet. They didn't even want to take a look at a high-ranked combat weapon like this. Everyone knew that the items at the beginning of the auction were just appetizers, and the main event would be the later part. After all, the blissful manor had to consider everyone's feelings. If all the items in the auction were rare and precious treasures, then the people downstairs would just be spectators, and they wouldn't have anything to do with it. Therefore, they decided to put some appetizers at the beginning of the auction, in order to liven up the atmosphere. In the end, a rogue cultivator from the ocean bought the high-ranked combat weapon for a price of 1,500,000. An ordinary high-ranked combat weapon was basically the same price. After all, high-ranked combat weapons were divided into different grades. The Axe of Thunder and the bloodthirsty sword in Jiang Chen's hands were both top-grade high-ranked combat weapons, and their price was at least a few times higher than the combat weapon in front of them. The next few treasures didn't have anything special about them. They were all battle skills and martial skills, as well as some ordinary pills. The auction went on for an hour. Not a single person in the VIP area on the second floor made a move. However, the people below were bustling with activity. Cultivators were shouting loudly. It was very lively. All right, the treasures from before were merely appetizers. Next up is the real show. Everyone, please hold your breaths and see what this is. With a flip of Su Ning's palm, a crystal-like sphere floated out from his palm and hovered above the auction stage. The moment the sphere appeared, the temperature in the entire auction hall suddenly dropped. Many people could feel a slight chill coming from it. Everyone's gaze fell onto the sphere. In the center of the sphere, there was an ice silkworm the size of a thumb. The silkworm was transparent, as if it was a real crystal. It stayed inside the crystal ball without moving. An Arctic ice silkworm that has been crystallized. Jiang Chen's expression changed slightly. He almost cried out. He never thought that he would see something like this in the auction hall. Everyone, please hold your breaths. I believe those who are knowledgeable can tell that inside this crystal ball is a real Arctic ice silkworm. Furthermore, this silkworm has been completely crystallized over the years. I believe I don't need to explain the value of this crystal ball to you all. Now, I hereby announce that the starting price of this Arctic ice silkworm is 15 million. Su Ning said with a clear and bright voice. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the entire auction hall was in an uproar. 15 million was only the starting price. No one could determine the final price of this Arctic ice silkworm. Little Chenzi, is this Arctic ice silkworm really worth that much? Han Yen asked. The Arctic ice silkworm is a rare species that lives in the far north. Its body contains an endless amount of cold energy. Even if it is wrapped in a crystal ball, the cold energy cannot be completely concealed. In order to crystallize an Arctic ice silkworm, not only does it need an extremely cold environment, it also needs a long time. After crystallizing, the Arctic ice silkworm is a real treasure. Its body contains the cold energy of the far north, as well as a rich amount of energy. The starting price of 15 million is too low. Of course, the price will definitely rise. Jiang Chen said. How do you know everything? Han Yen rolled his eyes in a gloomy manner, then said with a puzzled tone, but this thing is so cold, ordinary cultivators can't even get close to it, let alone absorb it. Who would be willing to pay such a high price for it? You're right, the crystallized Arctic ice silkworm is indeed useless to ordinary cultivators, but to those with cold attribute constitutions and those who practice ice cultivation methods, it is a supreme treasure. If little Yu can obtain this crystallized Arctic ice silkworm, the benefits to her will be endless, and her 9-yin body might even undergo a transformation. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. Although he didn't get the 9 solar holy water, this Arctic ice silkworm had given him a pleasant surprise. Although it couldn't help Yen Chenyu wake up, once she did, it would definitely bring her endless benefits. How could I forget about little Yu's physique? Damn it, looks like I'm going to get this Arctic ice silkworm today. Han Yen looked at the Arctic ice silkworm, and a strange light was emitting from it. 16 million. A deep voice came from another private room on the second floor. It's someone from the Shangwan clan. Han Yen said. Jiang Chen's face darkened. He had a conflict with the Qingyi sect and Myriad Sword sect, so he didn't want to have any more conflicts with the Shangwan clan. But unfortunately, the Shangwan clan was the first one to bid. Looks like the Shangwan clan has someone who practices ice skills, or someone with a cold physique. De Huang Dog said. 18 million. Another private room made a bid. It was a combat soul rogue cultivator from the ocean. Humph. Chapter 295. I don't need it either. I have the complete bloodline of Gu Tianma in my body, and it has been fully activated. In the future, as my cultivation level increases, I will automatically awaken Gu Tianma's movement skill and combat skill. Han Yen shook his head. Han Yen shook his head. He had the advantage of his bloodline, so he wasn't interested in the sky-gliding wings, let alone Big Yellow. The wings of light on Big Yellow's back were as fast as lightning, and he was afraid that the sky-gliding wings couldn't compare with them. 200 million. Right when the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clan were in a state of silence, Jiang Qin casually called out a bid of 200 million. Swoosh. When this number was announced, no one could remain calm anymore. Many people immediately jumped up from their seats, and countless gazes were thrown in Jiang Chen's direction. All of them felt like they were going to vomit blood. Damn it, is this Qin Jiang trying to cause trouble? He actually bid 200 million, just how rich is he? This guy didn't even bid before, but now, when the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clan are about to win, he just raised the price to 200 million. This number is just too terrifying, I can't even imagine it. Looks like this is going to be interesting. This Qin Jiang has offended both the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clan, it looks like he might as well fight them to the end. No one could remain calm anymore. This Qin Jiang was just too incredible, he actually dared to fight two superpowers like the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clan. Putting aside everything else, just his courage alone was something that no ordinary man could compare with. Boom! Two powerful energies suddenly burst out from the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clan's private rooms, sweeping across the entire auction hall. These two energies were filled with extreme anger, and the Shangwan clan's energy was the strongest. Right at this moment, another powerful energy descended onto the auction hall. This energy was even stronger than the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clans, and it immediately suppressed the other two energies. The auction is still in progress, please control your emotions. A domineering voice sounded out. It was Master Blissful. The entire auction was under his control, and he would never allow anyone to cause trouble in the auction hall. Little Chenzi, I thought you didn't want this movement skill. Then why are you bidding? Han Yen looked at Jiang Qin with a puzzled expression. I'm just helping the Blissful Manor raise the price. Jiang Qin shrugged his shoulders with an indifferent expression. Fuck, you're too black-bellied. Han Yen widened his eyes, he immediately understood what Jiang Qin was thinking. This guy was obviously trying to raise the price, forcing the Myriad Sword sect or Shangwan clan to pay a heavy price. Since both sides were enemies, there was no need for them to be polite. Kaka, you are quite sinister. I like it. The Huang Dog cackled. Aren't you afraid that after you raise the price, they won't want it anymore? After all, the price of 200 million was not a small amount. Don't worry, the Myriad Sword sect and Shangwan clan have deep foundations, 200 million is nothing to them. Jiang Chen's face was filled with confidence. Today, he was going to scam these two tycoons. He would never show mercy to his enemies, and this could be counted as doing the blissful manor a favor. Once the price went up, the blissful manor would benefit the most, 210 million. Yi Shao from the Myriad Sword sect continued raising the price while gnashing his teeth. After Yi Shao raised the price, Sheng Wanchong remained silent. He wanted to see if this Chen Jiang dared to continue raising the price, 250 million. Who would have thought that Jiang Qin would add another 40 million without a second thought, truly driving up the price? Bastard! Yi Shao was extremely furious. The crowd could easily imagine how furious he was right now. If Jiang Chen was right in front of him, perhaps he wouldn't even care about the rules of the blissful manor, and would just rip Jiang Chen into pieces. This was a blatant provocation, a provocation to the Myriad Sword sect's dignity. It wasn't just a matter of face anymore. Yi Shao was very angry, but Su Ning was very happy. The grin on his face was so wide that it almost reached his ears, and his old face looked like a chrysanthemum. Right at this moment, he really wanted to run to Jiang Chen and call him daddy. Sect Elder, are we still going to raise the price? The Heavenly Wings is a high-ranked earth movement skill, it's very precious. A young disciple from the Shengguan clan asked. No, let Yi Shao play with that guy. We don't know where that Chen Jiang came from, let's just wait and see. After the auction, he's definitely going to die. Shengguan Chang's face was filled with anger as well. However, since Yi Shao and Chen Jiang were competing against each other, it was better for them to wait and see. Chen, brother Jiang Qin is filthy rich, he raised the price to 250 million, is there anyone who wants to raise the price? Su Ning shouted at the Myriad Sword sect. 260 million. Yi Shao raised the price again. Everyone could tell that Yi Shao was on the verge of exploding in anger. 300 million. However, right after Yi Shao's words left his mouth, Jiang Qin raised the price to 300 million. Bang! A muffled sound could be heard from the Myriad Sword sect's private room. Everyone knew what had happened, it was Yi Shao who had smashed the table with his palm. Damn it, 300 million. What kind of grudge does this Chen Jiang have against the Myriad Sword sect? This is a sky-high price, I wonder if the Myriad Sword sect will continue to raise the price. This is insane, he's too damn rich. This number is enough to make me wet my pants. Everyone were shocked, no one had expected the price to rise to such an extent. That Chen Jiang was too aggressive, first he went against the Shengguan clan, and now he was going against the Myriad Sword sect. Within the Myriad Sword sect's private room, Yi Shao's eyes were about to shoot out flames. His beard was trembling, and his robe was fluttering in the wind. The solid wood table in the private room was completely smashed. Sect Elder, this Chen Jiang is too hateful, I don't believe he can take out 300 million. The female disciple who was slapped by Han Yen said in an eerie manner. In my opinion, that bastard is just raising the price on purpose, he wants us to suffer a loss. Lin Anying said while gnashing his teeth. Humph. You want to play with me? This kid is still too young. Since you want to play, I'll play with you. The Heavenly Wings is at most 200 million, I'll make sure he gets it. Yi Shao coldly harumphed. A ferocious expression emerged on his face, 400 million. This time, Yi Shao spoke calmly. Jiang Qin guessed that the Myriad Sword sect was probably waiting for the last item of the auction. Unless they found something they liked, they wouldn't make any more moves in a short period of time. Right at this moment, Su Ning took out a stone the size of a human head. The stone was pitch black, and it was emitting a cold glow, giving off an eerie feeling. Chapter 296. The black stone was filled with devilish energy, and it was emitting a dazzling glow. It was clearly a great treasure. This is a supreme rank devil source stone, a treasure brought by an extraordinary man from the ocean. This Devil Source Stone was found in an underwater devil cave in the depths of the ocean, and it contains natural devilish energy, allowing it to produce such a powerful Devil Source Stone. The stone itself is as hard as steel, and ordinary high-ranked combat weapons won't be able to break it. The starting price of this supreme rank Devil Source Stone is 10 million. Su Ning said. But this time, it didn't cause too much of a commotion. After all, although the supreme rank Devil Source Stone was precious, it wasn't useful for all warriors. Most of those who came from the eastern continent were from the righteous path, and very few of them cultivated devilish skills. Only those rogue warriors or those extraordinary men from the ocean would cultivate devilish skills in order to improve their cultivation. As for this Devil Source Stone, it would only be useful in the hands of those who cultivated devilish skills, or those who were truly devilish beings. Ordinary people would never spend 10 million Devil Source Stones to buy it. 11 million. However, someone still made a bid. The man who made the bid was a man dressed in black who was sitting in the corner of the room. His entire body was covered in a long black robe, and he gave off an eerie feeling. Clearly, he wasn't a righteous man. 15 million. Another voice sounded out from private room number 3. The one who made the bid wasn't Jiang Qin, but Han Yan. This supreme rank Devil Source Stone wasn't something that others cared about, but Han Yan was different. Brother Yan, you have Gu Tianma's bloodline in your body, do you really care about this Devil Source Stone? De Huang Dog said. What I care about is not the devilish energy contained within the Devil Source Stone, but the material of the Devil Source Stone itself. Once I break through to the combat soul realm, I'm planning to forge a natal combat weapon for myself, and this supreme rank Devil Source Stone is a good material for that. Han Yan said. That's right. A mighty warrior's natal combat weapon will be much easier to use than ordinary combat weapons, and it will be able to unleash its full potential. More importantly, the grade of a natal combat weapon will increase along with the warrior's cultivation level, but only a few people are able to forge a natal combat weapon. The natal combat weapon is connected to the warrior's life, and the process of forging it requires a lot of effort. It's a very difficult process, and the success rate is very low. However, Brother Yan has the help of Gu Tianma's bloodline, so I believe he can do it. Jiang Qin said. When Han Yan mentioned natal combat weapon, it reminded him about his Heavenly Saint sword. He had spent a lot of effort to forge it, and he had finally succeeded. He had spent a lot of time and effort to create the sword. When his sword was Jiang's sword, it was with red with natal energy. To saint, and it, with sword, and it with it, and it. But too bad, the Heavenly Saint sword had fallen off the Saint Cliff, and no one knew if it still existed or not. After Han Yan called out the price of 15 million, the man in black threw a glance at private room number 3, then he became silent. Obviously, everyone knew the owner of private room number 3 was not someone they could mess with. Since Qin Jiang had his eyes on it, it was better for them not to compete for it. Besides, 15 million was a huge amount of money for an ordinary divine core warrior. Alright, looks like there's no one left to compete for it. Now, I announce that the highest grade Devil Source Stone belongs to young Master Qin Jiang. This time, Su Ning straightforwardly told him the result. He had a very good impression of Qin Jiang. The auction continued. Not long after that, Xiao Wei once again walked into the private room with a golden tray. Young Master Qin Jiang, the manor chief said that this highest grade Devil Source Stone will be given to young Master Qin Jiang for free. Xiao Wei said with a smile on her face. If that's the case, I'll have to thank the manor chief. Jiang Qin said with a smile on his face. He had helped the blissful manor earn a lot today, so giving them a Devil Source Stone for free wasn't a big deal. After that, the atmosphere of the auction was still very lively. All sorts of treasures appeared one after another. Earth ranked cultivation skills and combat skills, and there were even 2 perfect ranked combat weapons. However, both perfect ranked combat weapons were obtained by the Myriad Sword Sect and Shengguan clan. Jiang Chen didn't bid for anything, he was still waiting for the final item of the auction, the 9 solar holy water. Alright, the next item is the final item of our auction. A friend from afar asked us to auction this item. Therefore, in consideration of that friend's wish, we won't compete for this item based on the number of man elixir. Su Ning's expression suddenly became serious. Hearing his words, the atmosphere in the hall became tense. What kind of treasure was this? Why did they have to change the rules? Under everyone's gazes, a palm-sized jade bottle appeared in Su Ning's palm. It was a pure golden jade bottle, and no one knew what material it was made from. Just the jade bottle itself was already a treasure. As soon as the jade bottle appeared, an aura of extreme yang was immediately released from it, causing everyone's expression to involuntarily tremble. The one who was shocked the most was Jiang Chen, who was in private room number 3. 9 solar holy water. Jiang Chen suddenly stood up from his rattan chair. He nearly cried out in surprise. That pure yang aura was emitted from the 9 solar holy water. In his past life, Jiang Chen was cultivating the 9 solar energy skill, and he was able to condense 9 solar holy water when he was at his peak. Therefore, he was very familiar with the aura of the 9 solar holy water. He was certain that this jade bottle contained the 9 solar holy water. This was a huge surprise. Even Jiang Chen didn't expect the 9 solar holy water to appear in this auction. Inside this jade bottle are 3 drops of 9 solar holy water. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the 9 solar holy water, and I don't think I need to tell you how precious it is. Su Ning's voice was trembling. Taking out such a precious item to be auctioned was simply a reckless waste of resources. In his opinion, anyone who dared to take out the 9 solar holy water to be auctioned must have a mental problem. Hua! Indeed, right after Su Ning's words left his mouth, the audience once again burst into an uproar. Both of them were staring at a big crystal ball in front of them. The crystal ball was showing what was happening inside the auction hall. One of the 2 men had a muscular build, and was clad in a battle armor that was sparkling with a golden light. He was none other than Master Blissful. The other man was clad in a black outfit, with a bamboo hat covering his face. His body wasn't any weaker than Master Blissful's, and because of his clothes, his muscles looked like dragons, perfectly accentuating his body, and filled with explosive power. Judging from the aura emitted from this man, he wasn't very old. Master Blissful and the man in black had gloomy expressions on their faces, but when they heard Jiang Chen's words, their faces lit up. Who is this man? The man in black asked with a powerful voice. His name is Chen Jiang, a rare genius among the younger generation. He's decisive and lawless, and although it's my first time meeting him, I like him a lot. I wonder if he's telling the truth when he said he can concoct the 9 soul restoration pill. Master Blissful said. In the auction hall. Right after Jiang Chen's words left his mouth, the crowd burst into laughter. Ha, what a joke. I've finally seen what it means to boast shamelessly. Little Chen Jiang, you should really take a good look at yourself in the mirror. With your divine core cultivation base, even an alchemist won't be able to concoct the 9 soul restoration pill. Yi Xiao burst into laughter. This was the first time he had laughed so happily since the beginning of the auction. Little Chen Jiang, it's important to know your own limits. Even if you want to get the 9 solar holy water, you shouldn't boast so much. Of course, Shengguan Chong wouldn't let go of this opportunity to mock Jiang Chen. Auctioneer Su Ning, this man is boasting, and he's disrupting the order of the auction. In my opinion, he should be expelled from the blissful island immediately. Mao Xing spoke as well. His words were like sharp swords pointing at Jiang Qin. His hatred for Jiang Qin was even stronger than Yi Shao and Sheng Wanchong's. Yi Shao and Sheng Wanchong had only lost their face and wealth, but Mao Xing had lost a few disciples of the Qingyi sect, and his own grandson. Humph. If you don't have the ability, don't talk nonsense here. Jiang Chen let out a cold snort. Young Master Qin Jiang, can you really concoct the 9-soul restoration pill? This isn't something you can joke about. Su Ning said with a frown on his face. He had a good impression of Jiang Qin, but this wasn't something he could joke about. Furthermore, in Su Ning's opinion, Jiang Qin might not be able to concoct the pill. After all, Jiang Qin was only a divine core warrior, and his soul energy alone wasn't enough for him to concoct the pill. Of course, but I want to buy 3 sets of ingredients from the blissful manor for the 9-soul restoration pill. Can you give me the 9-solar holy water after I concoct the pill? Jiang Qin said in a confident manner. If he can concoct the 9-soul restoration pill, Yi Shao will be walking backwards from now on. Yi Shao let out a cold snort. That's right, this guy is just trying to cause trouble. Even a combat soul alchemist from our family can't concoct the 9-soul restoration pill, and he's just a mere divine core warrior. What a joke. Sheng Wanchong said with a sneer. Is that so? If I can concoct the 9-soul restoration pill with 100% effectiveness, I'll let both of you eat dog shit in front of everyone. What do you say? Jiang Chen said with a loud voice. Bastard, what did you just say? How dare you insult me? You deserve to die. Yi Shao and Sheng Wanchong were immediately enraged. With their status, someone actually wanted them to eat dog shit in front of everyone. This was a great humiliation. What a powerful soul energy, this guy is really an alchemist. I never expected this guy to be so capable, I've underestimated him. Let's see, there are many divine core alchemists, but I'm afraid none of them can concoct the 9-soul restoration pill. The most difficult part of concocting a pill isn't refining the ingredients, but fusing them into a pill. With his divine core cultivation base, there's no way he can concoct it. Lin Enning said confidently. That's right, this guy is too arrogant, I'll let him know how to spell the word death. Yi Shao said coldly, but it was clear that he was no longer as calm as he was at the beginning. On the other side, Master Blissful and the man in black had shocked expressions on their faces as well. Their opinions of Jiang Qin had changed once again. TSK, I never expected little Qinzi to have such a skill. Han Yen clicked his tongue in amazement. Back in the Black Sect, the strongest alchemist he had ever met was Guoshan, but when he saw Jiang Qin concoct the pill, he immediately felt that Guoshan was just a fart. Don't talk to me, I'm brewing. After saying that, the Huang dog farted, causing Han Yen to be dumbfounded. In the next second. Blurg, Han Yen threw up. Damn it, can't I just say hello? Blurg. It stinks. Han Yan's face turned pale. He hurriedly distanced himself from De Huang dog. Only now did he realize that De Huang dog had been quiet for the past 4 hours, he was actually brewing. Sigh. Han Yan let out a long sigh. He suddenly felt sorry for Yi Shao and Sheng Wanchong. A fart from De Huang dog was so powerful. If he really pooped, the power would be enough to destroy a man's will. On the auction stage, Jiang Chen had a calm expression on his face. After all the herbs were purified, he was ready to fuse them into pills. This step was indeed the most difficult step in the pill concoction process, but it wasn't a problem for Jiang Qin. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Jiang Qin waved his palms. All the herb essences in the ocean of flames started moving towards the same direction, as if they were being summoned. The ocean of flames was divided into 3 areas, and in each area, there were over 100 herb essences. Jiang Chen was going to fuse 3 9-soul restoration pills at the same time. Sizzle, the herb essences collided with each other, producing a sizzling sound. This was the most difficult step, and it had a very strict requirement for the alchemist. He needed to have perfect control over his energy. At this moment, everyone was getting nervous. The most nervous ones were Yi Xiao, Sheng Wanchong, and the man in black who was sitting together with Master Blissful. Whether Jiang Chen could successfully concoct the 9-soul restoration pills or not, the 3 of them had a direct relationship with him. The tense atmosphere lasted for another 2 hours. Looking at the medicinal essences within the flames merging in an orderly manner without any signs of being destroyed, Yi Xiao and Sheng Wanchong's faces finally broke out in cold sweat. They could no longer sit still. Don't tell me this Chen Jiang is really going to succeed. Looks like there's only one last step left. It's hard to imagine. Let's see if he can succeed in the last step. Everyone was getting nervous. If Jiang Chen succeeded, they would be witnessing the birth of a miracle. Another hour passed. Bang! Jiang Chen suddenly let out a light roar. The ocean of flames began to surge violently, and the temperature in the auction hall became even hotter. Following Jiang Chen's roar, 3 muffled sounds of thunder could be heard coming from the ocean of flames. After that, 3 beams of golden light shot out from the ocean of flames, flying around the auction hall. Swoosh! At this moment, everyone stood up, their mouths agape as they stared at the 3 golden pills dancing in the sky. 9 soul restoration pills. Inside the sealed room of the auction hall, the man in black suddenly stood up from his seat and cried out in surprise. These 3 pills are flying around on their own, they already have their own spirituality. Fine, since Master Blissful has said so, I'll give you some face. I don't have to eat shit, but I have to take it. De Huang, give it to them. The path they took to get here had been sealed off, and there was no way out. There must be a reason behind this anomaly. With such a huge disturbance in the ocean, I'm sure something big is going to happen, something extraordinary is going to appear in this world. Jiang Chen said with a solemn expression. Perhaps there will be some peerless treasures. De Huang Dog's eyes lit up. When the word treasure was mentioned, he immediately became spirited. Rumble, the sky was spinning, and the entire sky was filled with huge waves. The endless waves were crashing down toward the blissful island like huge mountains. Some of the people with better eyesight had already seen an island not far away from the blissful island being destroyed by the huge waves. Right now, the endless waves were crashing down, and it looked like they were going to destroy the blissful island. Not good, the waves are too powerful. If they come crashing down at the same time, the entire blissful island will be destroyed. Someone cried out in shock. Ha! Right at this moment, Master Blissful let out a loud shout. His body flew up into the sky and hovered in the air. Everyone could see that Master Blissful had transformed into a huge golden fish. This fish's body was fully covered with golden scales, and it was more than 30 meters long. It looked like a golden mountain, and there was a pair of mighty wings on its back. This was the Golden Glory fish's true form, and it was extremely frightening. Under everyone's shocked gazes, beams of golden lights shot out from Master Blissful's body. These golden lights quickly turned into a huge golden net that covered the entire blissful island. At the same time, the huge waves were crashing down from all directions, causing the golden net to violently shake. However, it couldn't break it. What a formidable strength! Master Blissful is able to withstand so many huge waves all by himself. That's the golden glory fish's true form, it's the true overlord of the ocean. It's extremely frightening. Master Blissful's cultivation has reached the mid-combat soul realm, he's not someone ordinary warriors can compare with. With his strength alone, he can withstand these huge waves and ensure the safety of the Blissful Island. Master Blissful unleashed his might, causing everyone's hearts to tremble with fear. The reputation of this mighty overlord of the ocean was not just for show. Friends who have come from afar, there's a sudden change in the ocean, and I have no idea what's going to happen next. The Blissful Island will be your temporary shelter. I'm going to head deeper into the ocean and find out what's going on. I hope all of you can pour your yuan energy into this golden net to block the waves. The temperature of the ocean is getting lower and lower, and I'm sure the waves won't last for too long. Once the temperature drops to a certain level, the ocean will be frozen. Master Blissful's voice was like a sudden clap of thunder that resounded in everyone's ears. After saying that, Master Blissful's body moved, and his gigantic body pierced through the golden net and disappeared into the gigantic wolf. As a golden glory fish, the water was his domain, and with his mid-combat soul cultivation base, he wouldn't be harmed by the gigantic wolf while swimming through it. What impressed everyone the most was Master Blissful's courage. No one knew what was causing the sudden change in the ocean, and it wasn't hard to imagine how dangerous it would be for him to enter the ocean to investigate. There were many combat soul warriors on the scene, but perhaps Master Blissful was the only one with such courage. Everyone, let's work together and block the huge waves. The Golden Lion let out a loud shout and was the first to pour his yuan energy into the net. After that, all the other combat soul warriors joined in as well. The most exciting event in this trade fair was the conflict between Jiang Qin and the Myriad Sword Sect, Shengguan Clan, and Qingyi Sect. Especially Yi Xiao and Shengguan Chong, they had received the most disgusting humiliation in history. When thinking about what had happened in the auction hall, the crowds felt like vomiting. It wasn't difficult to imagine what Shengguan Chong and Yi Xiao were feeling right now. Shengguan Wei attacked with hatred in his heart. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Jiang Qin. In an instant, a huge illusory hand that looked like a fan slapped toward Jiang Qin. Humph. You want to kill me? Let's see if you have what it takes. Jiang Qin coldly harumphed. Without showing any fear, he immediately unleashed the true dragon palm toward the huge illusory hand. If it was when he first arrived at the Blissful Island, Jiang Qin would definitely be no match for Shengguan Chong. But, when he was in the Blissful Manor, he had absorbed all the demon souls he had and formed 600 dragon marks. Now, he had a total of 2,200 dragon marks, which was more than enough for him to fight an ordinary early combat soul warrior. Although it was still difficult for him to kill a combat soul warrior, he would have no problem defending himself. With Shengguan Wei's abilities, it was impossible for him to kill Jiang Qin. Rumble, violent and destructive energies swept across the place, causing a huge amount of sparks to appear in the center of the collision. Jiang Qin's body swayed a little, but he was still standing in the same spot. What? Shengguan Chong cried out in shock, as if he had just seen a ghost. Although he didn't use any powerful combat skills just now, the power of a combat soul warrior was still immeasurable. It wasn't something an ordinary mid-divine core junior could withstand. However, this young man in front of him had blocked it, as if nothing had happened. Amazing! What is this Chen Zhang's background? He's only a mid-divine core warrior, but he can actually fight a combat soul warrior. If I hadn't seen this with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Did you guys notice? This Chen Zhang's strength has become much stronger than when the trade fair first started. When Mao Xing from the Qingyi sect attacked Chen Jiang wasn't a match for him at all, and he had to rely on old man Ling Shan to save him. But now, only a few days have passed, and he's already able to fight Sheng Wanchong. He really is a monster from the younger generation. Looks like it won't be easy for Sheng Wanchong to kill Chen Jiang. It's very dangerous. Sheng Wanchong isn't the only one who wants to kill Chen Jiang. Yi Shao and Mao Xing are also here. If the three of them work together, Chen Jiang won't be a match for them, and he will be beaten to a pulp. Everyone was shocked by Jiang Chen's mighty strength. With just a mid-divine core cultivation base, he was able to fight a combat soul warrior. This had broken everyone's common sense. In their minds, the difference between a divine core warrior and a combat soul warrior was like the difference between the heavens and the earth. There was no comparison at all. There was a huge gap between the two realms, and there was no way to cross it. But, not only had this abnormal young man in front of them managed to cross it, he did it with just a mid-divine core cultivation base. This made people wonder if this young man was a late divine core warrior. He might be able to kill a combat soul warrior. Old fool, you want to kill me with just this little ability? Are you dreaming? Jiang Chen said with a loud voice. Arrogant and ignorant junior, don't think you can be so arrogant just because you have some talent. Today, I'll let you know the difference between a divine core warrior and a combat soul warrior. I'll let you know how frightening I am. Sheng Wanchong no longer underestimated Jiang Chen. De Huang, don't hide anymore, fight them. Jiang Chen had been beaten to a pulp, and with Nangong Wentian's help, he could fight them one-on-one. Roar! Big Yellow threw his head back and let out a loud roar. His tiny body suddenly became extremely muscular, and he turned into a huge golden dog like a majestic yak, looking majestic and awe-inspiring. Without any hesitation, he rammed his head toward Sheng Wanchong. The transformation of De Huang dog had startled many people. However, in the next moment, some of them thought of something, and finally, they connected the man and dog in front of them with the legendary combination of man and dog. Chapter 305. Many people found this dog to be very familiar. Even if they hadn't seen it before, they would at least have heard about it somewhere. After all, there weren't many dogs under the heavens that looked so majestic. You idiot, Daddy told you not to hide. I didn't tell you to show your true identity. Jiang Chen rolled his eyes. He really wanted to give this dog a big slap. This dog was really a troublemaker. Not only were there 3 combat soul warriors, but Big Yellow had also revealed his true form, which would definitely attract more enemies. Jiang Chen rolled his eyes. What a majestic De Huang dog. Why does it look so familiar? Don't tell me it's the same dog from Inferno Hell. Not long ago, some people who came out from Inferno Hell spread the news. A young man named Jiang Chen has been killing everyone in there, and he has killed countless divine core warriors. Even the genius from the Myriad Sword sect, Yang Shua, and the Shengguan clan sect elder, Shengguan Wei, were killed. Also, that mighty De Huang dog is following Jiang Chen. Chen Jiang, Jiang Chen, I know. So this Chen Jiang is Jiang Chen. A young man and a De Huang dog, this is a unique combination. That's right. I heard that Jiang Chen is about 17 years old, and he looks exactly the same as Chen Jiang. Furthermore, there aren't many people who possess such formidable combat strength at such a young age, let alone the fact that he has a De Huang dog with a symbol on it. Many people cried out in shock. During this period of time, Jiang Chen's name had spread across the entire eastern continent, and there was no one who didn't know his name. However, most of them had never seen Jiang Chen in person. As for those who came out from Inferno Hell, most of them were severely injured, and some of them were traumatized. Basically, the first thing they did after coming out from Inferno Hell was cultivate in secluded cultivation, and they didn't participate in the trade fair. This was also the reason why no one had recognized Jiang Qin until now. But now that the Huang dog had revealed his true identity, and Jiang Qin had simply reversed his name, it was easy for people to guess his identity. Heavens, so he's the young devil king Jiang Qin who stirred up chaos in purgatory. No wonder he has such tyrannical strength. No wonder he dares to make the Myriad Sword sect and Shenghuan clan his enemy. He killed the Myriad Sword sect's genius, Yang Shuo, and the Shenghuan clan's elder, Shenghuan Wei, back in Inferno Hell. Both superpowers have announced that they will kill Jiang Qin, and the enmity between them is irreconcilable. Of course, Jiang Qin won't be polite to them. This young man is truly a legend of his generation. To be able to do so well in a place like purgatory, this man is truly audacious. He dares to kill just about anyone. Seems like it won't end well today. After Jiang Chen's identity was exposed, everyone was shocked. Everyone's gaze fell on Jiang Qin. They wanted to see if this lawless young man had 3 heads and 6 arms. You're not Qin Jiang, you're Jiang Qin. Shenghuan Chong, who was about to attack, finally reacted. He stopped what he was doing and shouted at Jiang Qin, the great saint. That's right, I'm Jiang Qin, and I killed Shenghuan Wei. Jiang Qin said in an imposing manner. Since he had been recognized, there was no point in hiding anymore. Good, good. It doesn't matter if you're Jiang Qin or Qin Jiang, you're going to die today. Those who go against the Shenghuan clan will never have a good ending. Shenghuan Chong gnashed his teeth in anger. Shenghuan Wei's death had made the Shenghuan clan decide to kill Jiang Qin. He didn't expect to meet Jiang Qin here, and he was even humiliated by Jiang Qin. He had to settle this score, and if he couldn't kill Jiang Qin today, he would lose all his face. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to walk around the world, he wouldn't even be able to raise his head in the Shenghuan clan. Bastard, Yang Shuo was the genius with the most potential in our Myriad Sword sect, and he was killed by you while training in Inferno Hell. Looks like you're going to die today. Yi Zhao's killing intent had completely locked onto Jiang Qin. After knowing Jiang Chen's real identity, he had no reason to let him go. The Myriad Sword sect's face was just like the Shenghuan clan's, no one could offend it. Jiang Qin, you killed my brother. Today, I'm going to avenge him. I'm going to tear you into 1,000 pieces. An old man in his 50s roared out. Although he was only a late divine core warrior, it looked like he was going to attack as well. After learning that his brother was killed, he swore to avenge him. Although his brother had committed heinous crimes and was banished to Inferno Hell, he was still his own brother. This old man had planned to head to the Black Sect to kill Jiang Qin, but when he heard that Jiang Qin had killed the 6 weirdos of Mount Mang, he didn't dare attack. Today, Jiang Qin was trapped like a turtle in a jar, and this was a great opportunity for him. Jiang Qin, my junior disciple, was killed by you as well. Today, I'm going to make you pay with your blood. Jiang Qin, you killed my sworn brother, I'm going to avenge him today. At this moment, the crowd became extremely agitated. Many warriors had drawn out their combat weapons, and their killing intent soared into the sky. All of them were gnashing their teeth in anger, and it looked like they were going to skin Jiang Qin alive. In just the blink of an eye, more than 100 divine core warriors had stood out and wanted to kill Jiang Qin. The situation had instantly gone out of control. So, you're Jiang Qin. I've been watching from the sidelines, and I didn't want to get involved in the fight between you two, but 3 disciples of the Yellow Arcane sect were killed by you in Inferno Hell. I'm going to avenge them no matter what. Right at this moment, a combat soul warrior stood out as well. He was a supreme elder of the Yellow Arcane sect. The Yellow Arcane sect was a big sect in the Eastern Continent's Liang province, and it was ranked 10th in the entire Eastern Continent. Jiang Qin, Daddy once had a disciple. Although that disciple had done all sorts of evil deeds and was exiled to Inferno Hell, we are still master and disciple. Since I've bumped into him today, Daddy is going to avenge my disciple. Kiddo Jiangchen, you've killed countless innocent people in Inferno Hell. Even our sect elders were killed by you. I'm going to chop your head off today. Jiangchen, just give up and die. Kiddo Jiangchen, it looks like it's time for me to avenge him as well. The situation had completely gone out of control. In just the blink of an eye, more than 10 combat soul warriors had jumped out from the crowd. Each of them was emanating a tremendous killing intent, and they surrounded Jiang Qin and De Huang Dog. Only at this moment did De Huang Dog realize how much trouble he had caused by transforming back into his original form. This was a trouble that even he didn't expect. Damn it, why are there so many people trying to kill us? De Huang Dog nearly fainted. Now that he was surrounded by so many mighty warriors, it was impossible for him to escape. Have you forgotten how many people died in Inferno Hell? You idiot! Jiang Qin glared at De Huang Dog and angrily scolded. De Huang Dog hadn't expected this, but Jiang Qin had. This was also the reason why he asked De Huang Dog to disguise himself as a puppy. If he didn't disguise himself, they wouldn't have been able to make it to the blissful island. However, the one who felt the most depressed wasn't Jiang Qin, nor was it De Huang Dog, it was Nangong Wendian. Right now, Nangong Wendian was struck dumb. His domineering aura had instantly withered away. With a bitter expression, he looked at Jiang Qin and asked, "Brother, what's going on? What atrocious things have you done that so many people want to kill you?" Nangong Wendian had completely recovered his strength after absorbing the 3-9 soul restoration pills, and he was a proud man. Initially, he wanted to fight side by side with Jiang Qin and fight these 3 combat soul warriors. But now, before the fight even started, so many enemies had appeared in the blink of an eye. How was he supposed to fight them? He could ignore those divine core warriors, but with so many combat soul warriors, there was no way he could fight them. "Brother Nangong, this has nothing to do with you, please back off. Jiang Qin appreciates your kindness." Jiang Qin cupped his fist toward Nangong Wendian. He was very grateful to Nangong Wendian for helping them today, but with the current situation, if he forced Nangong Wendian to get involved, it would be the same as harming him. Even though he was surrounded by dozens of combat soul warriors, Jiang Chen's expression remained the same. He had been through much more dangerous situations in his past life, and he still survived. With his and De Huang Dog's agility and speed, even if they couldn't defeat these enemies, it wouldn't be a big problem for them to escape. Fuck. Do you think Daddy is made of sugar? I'm not that weak. You've already shown yourself, and now you're going to back off. That's just too embarrassing. Oh right, so your name isn't Chen Jiang, but Jiang Chen. I don't care what your name is, Daddy is going to be your brother. Nangong Wendian slapped his chest and said. Although he looked like a carefree person, he was a very loyal man. Furthermore, if Jiang Chen wasn't here, he might not even be able to keep his life. He's finished, Jiang Chen is dead for sure. In a situation like this, even if he grows a pair of wings, I don't think he'll be able to escape. That's right, he has killed too many people in Inferno Hell, there are people everywhere who want to kill him. That Nangong Wendian is really an idiot, he knows he's going to die, but he still wants to get involved in this. There must be something wrong with his brain. Many people were discussing the situation. Today's sudden change was a dead end for Jiang Qin. Unless a god descended from the heavens, no one would be able to save Jiang Qin. Jiang Qin, prepare to die. Jiang Qin, I'll give you a chance, kneel down and kowtow to us, apologize to us, then kill yourself. Those men said while gnashing their teeth in anger. Ha ha ha, Jiang Qin suddenly let out a loud laugh, you think you can kill me? How naive. Let me tell you, if you haven't been to Inferno Hell, you won't understand the rules of survival. I killed your people because they wanted to kill me, so of course I'll kill them. It's only right and proper. Just like now, you all want to kill me, but who knows, maybe you'll be killed by me. Jiang Chen's aura was unparalleled, there was no sign of fear on his face. Putting everything else aside, just this aura alone was not something an ordinary person could compare with. If it was an ordinary person, they would probably piss their pants in fear upon seeing such a scene. Good spirit, I like it. Ha, so what if you have more people? I'll still kill them all. The island of ice had completely emerged from the ocean. The gigantic island was floating above the ocean, and it looked like a mirage. Under the bright sunlight, it looked extremely dazzling. Sure enough, a treasure has appeared. The Huang dog's ears pricked up, and his eyes lit up. With his eyesight, he could easily tell that this island of ice was a peerless treasure. It seems like this island of ice appeared once 100 years ago. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. He was extremely sensitive when it came to the events that happened 100 years ago. Perhaps everything that happened 100 years ago had something to do with him. Haha, the island of ice has reappeared. This is a great opportunity. Sheng Wanchong burst into laughter. He was the first one to dash towards the island of ice. At the same time, all the people on the blissful island turned into beams of light and flew towards the island of ice at top speed. Those who hated Jiang Qin to the bone had completely forgotten about Jiang Qin. They threw him aside and flew towards the island of ice. Little Chinzi, this island of ice is so attractive that they didn't even have the time to kill you. Han Yan arrived next to Jiang Qin, his face filled with surprise. Ha, I never thought I'd find a treasure this time. Nangong Wendian burst into laughter. He came next to Jiang Qin and said, Brother Jiang, thank you so much for your 9-soul restoration pill, it saved my life. Brother Nangong, you're too polite. Jiang Chen is extremely grateful for your help today. Allow me to introduce you, these two are my brothers, Han Yan and De Huang. Jiang Chen said with a smile. Alright, we're all brothers from now on. Since it feels weird to call me Brother Nangong, just call me Brother Nan. Nangong Wendian was a straightforward man. He had a good impression of both Jiang Chen and Han Yan, and he was willing to befriend them. Alright, Brother Nan, let's go check out the island of ice as well. After saying that, Jiang Qin turned into a beam of light and dashed toward the island of ice. The speed of a combat soul warrior was incredibly fast, and they covered the distance of 200 miles in the blink of an eye. Haha, the island of ice has reappeared. Hi, Sheng Wanchong, I'm going to have a great opportunity. I'll be able to break through to the Combat King realm in the future. Sheng Wanchong was the first one to arrive at the island of ice. He burst into laughter, then he dashed toward the island of ice. At the same time, all the other combat soul warriors were flying toward the island of ice as well. There was a legend about the island of ice in the eastern continent, and it was something that happened over 100 years ago. Now that it had reappeared, it caused a huge uproar. Bam, 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 but too bad. When all the combat soul warriors were about to get close to the island of ice, they were repelled by a silver-white barrier that suddenly appeared outside of the island of ice. Some of them were too brave, and they were repelled by the huge backlash, causing them to let out miserable cries. What's going on? Why can't we go in? Sheng Wanchong felt his arm go numb from the backlash, and he was shocked. The island of ice hasn't truly opened yet, so we can't go in now. The Golden Lion said. Looks like we'll have to wait a little longer. Someone shook his head helplessly, but there was nothing he could do. Those Divine Core warriors who were shouting excitedly stopped when they saw all the combat soul warriors were repelled. At this moment, the island of ice was surrounded by people who were floating in the air. All of them were staring at the island of ice with passionate gazes, as if they were looking at a peerless beauty. What exactly is this island of ice? Why is it able to attract so many people's attention? Jiang Chen furrowed his brows. I've heard about this island of ice. I think it appeared 100 years ago, and it caused a huge commotion. However, I grew up in the Black Sect, so aside from the Qi province, I don't know much about the eastern continent. Han Yen said. I didn't expect Brother Jiang Qin to have no idea about the legend of the island of ice. Right at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded out. A figure appeared right next to Jiang Qin like a ghost. Jiang Chen turned around and saw a skinny old man. It was Old Man Ling Shan. Please enlighten me. Jiang Chen cupped his fist toward Old Man Ling Shan. He had a good impression of this old man, as he had even helped him before. 100 years ago, an island of ice suddenly appeared in the ocean, and it caused a huge commotion. At that time, many warriors from the eastern continent and the ocean entered the island of ice. According to the rumors, as long as those who entered the island of ice are lucky, they will be able to obtain great benefits. The current emperor of the Martial Saint dynasty was one of the men who entered the island of ice 100 years ago. He was still a young man at that time, but after he came out from the island of ice, his cultivation improved by leaps and bounds, and now, he has reached the unimaginable Combat King realm. Old Man Ling Shan said. What? The Martial Saint dynasty's emperor only broke through to the Combat King realm after entering the island of ice 100 years ago. No wonder the island of ice can stir up so much excitement. I wonder what exactly is inside this island of ice, and did Senior enter the island of ice before? Han Yen asked. I'm only 80 years old this year, and I wasn't even born 100 years ago. That's why I've never entered the island of ice. I never thought I'd see the island of ice appear again in my lifetime. Old Man Ling Shan said with a teasing smile. However, the news of the island of ice will soon spread across the entire eastern continent. I believe it won't be long before all the superpowers of the eastern continent will send their men here, including the Martial Palace and Martial Saint dynasty. Could it have something to do with me when it appeared out of nowhere? Why does this island of ice give me such a familiar feeling? I feel like there's something in there that's calling me. Jiang Chen furrowed his brows. He didn't know why, but this island of ice had an indescribable attraction for him, and he had no choice but to enter it. Looks like it's a great treasure. I have to go in and have a look. I'm a man with a great destiny, and if I can enter it, I will definitely obtain unimaginable benefits. Nangong Wendian said with a narcissistic smile on his face. Master Blissful went into the ocean yesterday, and I still don't know where he went. I wonder if he's in any danger. Jiang Chen said. Don't worry, Master Blissful's true form is a golden glory fish. Besides, with his cultivation level, nothing bad will happen to him in the ocean. Old Man Ling Shan said. He was very confident in Master Blissful. Bang! Right at this moment, a deep and muffled sound suddenly sounded out from the island of ice. In an instant, a beam shot out from the island of ice with incredible speed. A divine core warrior reacted quickly and grabbed the beam. When he saw what was in his hand, he immediately cried out in excitement, "Oh heavens, it's earthly elixir! A perfect quality earthly elixir!" The cry immediately caused an uproar among the crowd. The island of ice was actually shooting out earthly elixir. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Bang, bang, bang. Chapter 307. Swoosh. Everyone crazily dashed toward those beams of light. Those were genuine earthly elixir. Elixir was the foundation of a warrior's cultivation, and elixir was the lifeblood of all divine core and combat soul warriors. Each of them grabbed an earthly elixir in their hands, then they burst into laughter and said, "Waha, it's really earthly elixir. This is like a meat pie falling from the sky." Bam bam bam, beams of light kept shooting out from the island of ice, and they filled the sky, dazzling everyone's eyes. Everyone became restless. This was a scene that only happened once in 100 years, and no one could suppress the excitement in their hearts. "I got an earthly elixir as well." "This isn't earthly elixir, it's a mid-ranked combat weapon." "Oh heavens, the island of ice is shooting out a combat weapon." "Another combat weapon." "Treasures. The island of ice is really a huge treasure. Grab it. A peerless treasure is going to appear soon. The island of ice is shooting out treasures. This is a rare opportunity, Daddy is going to be rich." Everyone were excited. The island of ice kept shaking and shooting out beams of light. At first, it was just elixir, but soon, combat weapons were shot out, and many golden scrolls that were either filled with cultivation skills or combat skills. A scene like this was beyond anyone's imagination. Many people were yelling and grabbing the treasures crazily. This kind of competition was the easiest way to cause conflicts, and soon, people started fighting each other, causing energy ripples to spread across the place. "The fuck, this is too intense. I'll feel sorry for these treasures if I don't grab them." Nangong Wendian was the first one to dash out and grab those beams of light. Old Man Ling Shan also dashed out. Facing so many treasures, no one would be able to escape. Everyone was greedy. "Little Chenzi, why are you still hesitating?" Han Yen couldn't hold back any longer. If he didn't act now, all the treasures would be taken away. The Huang dog moved his body and dashed toward those beams of light as well. "Get lost. This treasure is mine." "Ah, it's young Master Nangong. Come, come, come." A divine core warrior tried to snatch it away from Nangong Wendian with a pair of red eyes, but when he realized the person he was trying to snatch was Nangong Wendian, he immediately shivered, and dared not do anything reckless. "Fuck, this is heaven elixir. Damn it, I actually got a heaven elixir. Damn it." The golden lion grabbed the heavenly elixir. Even with his combat soul cultivation base, he couldn't help but let out an excited cry. "What? There's actually heavenly elixir. This is crazy. Even heaven's elixir has appeared. How can we live? Hurry up and snatch it. If we can get a heavenly elixir, we'll be rich." Everyone's eyes turned red. Even heaven's elixir had appeared, it was like a dream to them. As warriors, no one didn't know the value of heaven elixir. An earth elixir was equal to 10,000 human elixir, and a heaven elixir was equal to 10,000 earth elixir. In other words, a heaven elixir was equal to the elixir of 100 million human elixir. This was an incredible amount of wealth. Furthermore, ordinary divine core and combat soul warriors would usually cultivate with earth elixir. Even peak combat soul warriors would rarely consume heaven elixir. Only combat king warriors were qualified to absorb heaven elixir, and even those mighty combat emperors would only consume heaven elixir. In the eastern continent, heaven elixir was an extremely precious treasure, but now, the island of ice was shooting out heaven elixir. This was crazy. Swoosh! A trail of light flew right toward Jiang Chen, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Jiang Chen's face. Jiang Chen reacted quickly, and he immediately grabbed it. To his surprise, he found out it was a heaven elixir. "My luck is so heaven-defying." Jiang Chen grinned, then he stored the heaven elixir into his body without any qualms. Cultivating the dragon transformation skill required heaven elixir the most, and he knew the value of a heaven elixir. "That elixir is mine." Someone shouted out loudly. A few warriors caught up to Jiang Chen, and their eyes turned red, as if they were suffering from a disease of jealousy. Jiang Chen furrowed his brows. 2 cold beams shot out from his eyes, and the few warriors who were about to lose their minds immediately regained their senses. Only now did they realize who this young man in front of them was. So it's young Master Jiang Chen. I don't want that elixir anymore, I'm going to steal some other treasures. That's right, I don't want it either. Young Master Jiang Chen, please. The speed at which these warriors ran was even faster than the speed at which they arrived. They knew very well what kind of tricks Jiang Chen had up his sleeves. He was the #1 robber in Inferno Hell, and they had dared to steal something from Jiang Chen. This was no different than courting death. So many treasures. Human elixir, earth elixir, skills, combat weapons, this island of ice is so powerful. Someone was yelling. As more and more beams of light kept shooting out from the island of ice, the people's emotions were constantly being stimulated. Many of them had already lost their minds and were desperately trying to steal the treasures. Every single beam of light that shot out from the island of ice was a treasure. Jiang Chen wasn't interested in those skills, and combat weapons, because none of them were of high grade. Jiang Chen's main target was the earth elixir. Of course, if he could get more heaven elixir, Jiang Chen would be even happier. However, the heaven elixir that shot out from the island of ice was only a small amount, and it would take a lot of luck to get it. All the heaven elixir belongs to the Myriad Sword sect, no one is allowed to steal it. Yi Zhao's voice was like a thunderclap that resounded in every warrior's ears. Fuck you. Since when did the things that shot out from the island of ice belong to your Myriad Sword sect? You're shameless. It belongs to whoever gets it first. So many treasures, can your Myriad Sword sect take them all? Look, another good thing shot out from the island of ice, let's go. Right at this moment, it seemed like the Myriad Sword sect's name was no longer useful. It was a spectacular scene, tens of thousands of people were fighting for the treasures, and none of these treasures belonged to anyone. However, the Myriad Sword sect was trying to take all of them for themselves. This was bullshit. Everyone's eyes were filled with greed, and they couldn't care less about anything else. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 3 beams of light flew out from the same direction at the same time. Jiang Chen's eyes fell upon these 3 beams of light. With his eyesight, he could immediately tell that these were 3 heaven yuan pills. He raised the spear high up into the air, aimed it at Sheng Wanchong, and then smashed it down. Swoosh! Wherever the spear passed, the air would violently tremble. The spear created a lot of sparks when it hit the air, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Sheng Wanchong. Sheng Wanchong knew how terrifying and abnormal Jiang Chen was, so he dared not underestimate his opponent. With a wave of his arm, a sharp long sword appeared in his hand. Sheng Wanchong raised the long sword and blocked Jiang Chen's spear. Clang! Therefore, not many people surrounded the Huang dog. Jiang Chen, you're dead meat. Mao Xing let out a loud shout. Boom! Right after Mao Xing's words left his mouth, something unexpected happened once again. Another muffled explosion sounded out from the island of ice, and in the next second, an object covered in flames shot out from the island of ice. Everyone knew about the legend of the island of ice from 100 years ago. Therefore, anything that came out from the island of ice would attract everyone's attention. Right when the object shot out from the island of ice, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. The Huang dog was the first one to see the object. His eyes immediately lit up, and he immediately shouted toward Jiang Chen, "Little Chenzi, get that thing." Right after De Huang dog's words left his mouth, Jiang Chen's expression immediately changed. With a swoosh, he immediately flew toward the object. Anything that could attract the Huang dog's attention must be something extraordinary. Jiang Chen firmly believed this. That thing is mine. Shengguan Chang's speed was extremely fast as well. While slashing his sword toward Jiang Chen, he also leaped toward the object. All the other combat soul warriors didn't waste any time either, they all rushed toward Jiang Chen. Get lost! Jiang Chen let out a loud roar and thrust his spear toward Shengguan Chong. At the same time, a pair of blood-red wings emerged from his back. His feet trembled as he unleashed the dimensional shift skill. At the same time, he also unleashed the 9 phantom wolves. In the blink of an eye, 9 identical Jiang Chens appeared at the same time, disrupting everyone's plan. But, for Jiang Chen, this small delay was more than enough. Jiang Chen's movement was incredibly fast. When all the phantoms disappeared, the treasure that came out from the island of ice was already in Jiang Chen's hand. The treasure was boiling hot, like a piece of steel that had just been burned. Ordinary warriors wouldn't even be able to touch it. Only someone like Jiang Chen, who had a body as tough as steel, could control it. Jiang Chen looked at the treasure in his hand and found out that it was a kettle. That's right, it looked exactly like a kettle. There was a handle at the back that could be used to hold the kettle, but there was a hole at the front that was about the size of a fist. The hole was blocked by a lid, and the high temperature was coming from the kettle. Jiang Chen had a feeling that the kettle wasn't filled with water, because there was no way water could emit such a high temperature. At this temperature, all water would have evaporated by now. However, even with Jiang Chen's eyesight, he still couldn't tell what kind of treasure this kettle was. The surface of the kettle was full of bumps and hollows, and numerous runes were carved onto it. These are ancient runes, don't tell me it's an item from the ancient era. Jiang Chen was shocked. Jiang Chen, hand over the treasure. Right at this moment, 2 combat soul warriors dashed toward Jiang Chen from another direction. At the same time, the kettle in Jiang Chen's hand was violently trembling, as if it was going to explode at any time. Jiang Chen didn't have time to think. He stretched out his hand and pulled off the lid of the kettle. Right when the lid was pulled off, an extremely dangerous aura immediately burst out from the kettle. It was as if there was an extremely powerful destructive force hidden within. Buzz, the kettle that had its lid pulled off immediately became restless. Its entire body turned a fiery red color, and red smoke kept shooting out from its mouth. Roars could be heard coming from within, as if countless ancient beasts were howling. Jiang Chen could clearly sense that something extremely powerful was about to burst out from the kettle. Without any time to think, he immediately pointed the kettle toward the 2 combat soul warriors. Rumble, a shocking scene occurred. A fiery dragon formed entirely from magma shot out from the kettle. The extreme temperature caused the air around it to burn. But, compared to the high temperature, what was even more frightening was the destructive force that was unleashed from the magma. Not good. The 2 combat soul warriors felt their hearts tremble. They could sense an extremely dangerous aura coming from the magma dragon, and the danger was more than enough to threaten their lives. Without hesitation, they immediately tried fleeing in 2 different directions. But too bad, the magma dragon was too fast. In just the blink of an eye, it had engulfed the 2 combat soul warriors. Arg! Chapter 309. Roar. The magma dragon that pierced through the bodies of the 2 combat soul warriors let out a thunderous roar. It flew for more than 1,000 miles before its energy was completely depleted. After that, it fell back onto the surface of the ocean, instantly melting all the ice on the surface of the ocean. A massive explosion occurred at the spot where it landed, causing ice shards to fly in all directions and smoke to billow in all directions. The frightening energy ripples caused everyone's souls to tremble. Hiss, 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 countless people gasped upon seeing this. All of them stared at the broken pot in Jiang Chen's hand as if they were looking at the most frightening thing in the world. 2 combat soul warriors had been turned into ashes in an instant. This was extremely frightening. Oh heavens, what is that thing? It's so powerful. 2 combat soul warriors were destroyed in an instant. This is too frightening. Those are 2 combat soul warriors. With a treasure like this in Jiang Chen's hand, who would be able to kill him now? Everyone were shocked, and no one was able to control their emotions. What happened just now was too frightening. A broken pot had actually destroyed 2 combat soul warriors. If they didn't witness this with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Bang! The fuck, it's so powerful. Han Yan's eyeballs nearly popped out from his eye sockets. Damn it, what the hell is that thing? It's so powerful. Nangong Wendian was shocked as well. Not only him, even Jiang Chen was struck dumb. He lowered his head and stared at the broken pot in his hand, his eyes glowing brightly. What a great treasure. Jiang Chen sighed. With his eyesight, he could easily tell that it was only a magma pillar that shot out from the broken pot. Furthermore, the magma that shot out from the pot could only be considered ordinary magma. Although its temperature was extremely high, it wasn't strong enough to directly destroy a combat soul warrior. It was the power of the broken pot itself that allowed the magma pillar to possess such destructive power. Shengguan Chong and the others were scared out of their wits. Those combat soul warriors who were gnashing their teeth and wanted to kill Jiang Chen now had frightened expressions on their faces. They kept backing away, afraid that Jiang Chen would point the pot at them. The scene just now had left a lingering fear in their hearts. Yi Xiao and the others were shocked and angry at the same time. At the same time, they were filled with regret and hatred. They regretted that they had acted too slowly. If not, this treasure would have fallen into their hands, and Jiang Chen would have been the one killed by the magma pillars. Ha, come on. Jiang Chen burst into laughter. He kept waving the broken pot in front of the crowd, scaring all the combat soul warriors so much that their faces turned pale, and they quickly backed away. After witnessing the frightening power of the broken pot, no one dared touch Jiang Chen again. Come on, weren't you very arrogant just now? Jiang Chen was facing more than a dozen combat soul warriors all by himself. He was emitting a domineering aura, and he was showing off his domineering aura. Jiang Chen, don't be so arrogant. I don't believe that broken pot can still attack you. Yi Xiao shouted out loudly. His words immediately caused the frightened crowd's eyes to brighten up. That's right, it seemed like the lava pillar just shot out from the broken pot on its own. It wasn't controlled by Jiang Chen at all. Now that the broken pot had stopped moving, didn't that mean it couldn't attack a second time? The smile on Jiang Chen's face became brighter. Although he pretended to be calm on the outside, he was actually cursing in his mind. Right now, apart from the fact that the broken pot weighed a few hundred kilograms, it was completely empty. As long as we can leave this desert, we'll no longer be suppressed by that force, and we'll be able to recover our cultivation bases. Jiang Chen said. If that's the case, let's leave this desert as soon as possible. Nangong Wendian said. What's the rush? The show is about to begin. Don't you want to see a bunch of combat soul warriors being beaten up so badly that they have to beg for their grandpa? Jiang Chen's lips curved upwards into a bright smile. He threw his glance toward Shengguan Chong, Yi Xiao, and the other combat soul warriors. Chapter 310. Soon, all the warriors outside the island of ice had entered the desert. There were more than 10,000 of them, and it was a grand scene. Right now, all of them had gloomy expressions on their faces. They stared at the vast desert around them, and felt their cultivation bases being suppressed. They didn't feel safe at all. Usually, only when one was strong enough would one feel safe. When a man turned from a majestic elephant into a tiny mouse, the difference in their hearts was unimaginable. Let's go deeper into the desert. I think this is just a small area, and once we leave this desert, we'll be able to recover our cultivation bases. Yi Shao said with a loud voice. As an elder of the myriad sword sect, his knowledge and experience were not something ordinary men could compare with. He could sense that the mysterious force only existed in this desert, and as long as they could leave this desert, they would no longer be suppressed by the mysterious force. The real treasure must be inside the island of ice. That's right, this desert is just a small area outside the island of ice. Mao Xing nodded his head. After saying that, the group of combat soul warriors started walking deeper into the desert. However, right at this moment, 4 figures suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their way. These 4 figures were none other than Jiang Chen, Han Yan, and the others. Right at this moment, Jiang Chen had his arms crossed in front of his chest, and a bright smile could be seen on his face. He was shrugging his shoulders as he stared at Yi Shao and the others with evil intentions. Guys, didn't you want to kill me just now? I think it's better if you kill me first before searching for the treasure inside the island of ice. Jiang Chen said with an indifferent tone. Humph. Jiang Chen, don't tell me you're so naive to think that we can't kill you just because our cultivation bases have been weakened. Let me tell you, even though we're only at the early mortal core realm right now, our resources are still stronger than yours. Killing you is as easy as flipping our palms. Shengguan Chong coldly harumphed. Why don't you give it a try then? Jiang Chen shrugged with an indifferent expression on his face. Han Yan and De Huang Dog, who were standing at the side, smiled even more brilliantly. Others might not understand Jiang Chen, but they knew him all too well. In a battle between opponents of the same level, Jiang Chen was an invincible existence. Right now, everyone's cultivation level had been suppressed to the early mortal core realm, and their yuan energy was almost the same. Once they started fighting, it would be a competition of physical strength and strength. In this aspect, it didn't matter if it was Jiang Chen, De Huang Dog, or Han Yan, all of them had an overwhelming advantage. As Jiang Chen was cultivating the dragon transformation skill, his skin was as tough as steel. These combat soul warriors were just like ants in front of him, and he could easily crush them to death. Shengguan Chong furrowed his brows. He really wanted to kill Jiang Chen right now, but since they were at the same level right now, and Jiang Chen's previous strength, he didn't have the confidence to kill him. This was also the reason why he didn't immediately kill Jiang Chen. Yi Shao, Mao Xing, and the other combat soul warriors had ugly expressions on their faces as well. After losing their combat soul strength, their confidence had been greatly reduced. What? No one is going to attack. Where's all that arrogance from before? Alright, since you guys don't dare to be arrogant anymore, then let me, Jiang Chen, be arrogant for once. Today, without my permission, none of you will be able to leave this desert. You old farts who have been trying to kill me, if you kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times now, I might be merciful and spare your lives. Jiang Chen said with a smile. Jiang Chen said. He was very arrogant right now, and also very excited. The ancient force in this desert was really amazing. In an environment like this, Jiang Chen was the absolute king. Even a combat king warrior would have to kneel down before him. Jiang Chen's expression changed drastically. What? You want us to kneel down? Presumptuous. Little bastard, how dare you talk to us like that? You're courting death. This little bastard is too arrogant. Does he really think we can't do anything to him just because we've suppressed our cultivation bases? He has no idea how strong a combat soul warrior is. Our abilities are not something he can imagine. That's right. This guy is too arrogant. Let me teach him a lesson. Although my cultivation base has been suppressed, I've spent my entire life tempering my body, and I've long obtained a body as tough as steel. The strength of my body is more than enough to tear him apart. Jiang Qin, die now. Everyone were furious. They were all mighty combat soul warriors, sect elders from big sects. No matter where they went, they would be respected by everyone, and no one would dare disobey their words. But now, there was a young man who wanted them to kneel down. This was ridiculous. One of the more muscular combat soul warriors among them dashed toward Jiang Qin like a ferocious tiger. The commotion immediately attracted everyone's attention. Those warriors who were about to head deeper into the desert immediately halted their steps. The show between the combat soul warriors and Jiang Qin was about to begin once again. From the blissful island to the island of ice, and now to the desert inside the island of ice, the fight had never stopped. Paw! The man's fist struck toward Jiang Qin's face. But too bad, his fist was grabbed by Jiang Qin. Ha! The man let out a loud shout and circulated his energy, trying to destroy Jiang Qin. However, he was shocked to find out that Jiang Qin's palm was like an iron clamp. No matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't break free. How dare you say you have a body as tough as steel with such little strength? Jiang Qin said with a mocking expression. He exerted more force into his palm, causing a cracking sound to be heard, followed by a miserable shriek. In the next second, the combat soul warrior's wrist was broken, and a white bone pierced through his skin. It was an eerie and frightening scene. Paw! Jiang Qin slapped the combat soul warrior's face, causing all his teeth to be knocked away. The man couldn't withstand Jiang Qin's attack, and he fell to the ground. Without showing any mercy, Jiang Qin stomped his foot onto the man's face. After that, he exerted all his strength and pushed the combat soul warrior's head into the ground. Blood sprayed out like a fountain, and the warrior's body started trembling violently. In just a few breaths of time, he had completely stopped moving. Gasp! The scene caused everyone to gasp. But, in front of Jiang Qin, his strength was just a joke. They felt like they were babies facing a strong man in front of Jiang Qin. He could kill them with just a single slap. Jiang Qin, don't make a mistake. You should know that you won't have a good ending if you offend the Myriad Sword sect. Yi Xiao threatened Jiang Qin, but he didn't have the confidence to do so. As a combat soul warrior, even his voice was trembling. Yi Xiao, why are you still spouting nonsense at a time like this? I've already killed Sheng Wanchong, why would I care about you? If you kneeled down and kowtowed to me just now, you might have been able to keep your life. But now, it's too late. The remaining combat soul warriors all had pale faces, and they were clenching their fists tightly. They couldn't help but feel depressed. They were mighty combat soul warriors, but now, their lives were in the hands of a young man, and they didn't even have the ability to do anything about it. When they thought back to what happened outside the island of ice, they couldn't help but feel a sense of irony. I'm sure these guys are feeling regretful right now. Old man Ling Shan stood far away from them with his arms crossed in front of his chest. I'm sure they're regretting becoming enemies with Jiang Qin. The Golden Lion nodded his head. Wrong, they regret that they didn't try their best to kill Jiang Qin when they were out there. If it wasn't for them being greedy for the treasures in the island of ice, Jiang Qin would have been dead by now, and none of this would have happened. Old man Ling Shan said with a smile. He had a gloating expression on his face, and at the same time, he felt lucky that he didn't become enemies with Jiang Qin. After killing Mao Xing, Jiang Qin didn't stop. He continued walking toward the rest of the combat soul warriors. All of them were his enemies, and all of them were extremely strong. They posed a huge threat to him, and staying here would only bring him more trouble. You don't have the chance to kneel down and beg for mercy. Your fate has been decided, you'll be the same as the rest of them. Jiang Qin said while walking forward. He was like a judge from hell, and with just a single sentence, he could decide the life and death of these men. Swoosh! Just at this moment, a person flew up into the sky with a schwa sound. Behind his back, there was actually a pair of golden wings of light. Those wings of light were completely condensed from Yuan power. They flapped continuously, clearly an incomparably mystical movement technique. Ha, Jiang Qin, I bet you didn't expect this. Even though I'm only a mortal core warrior, Daddy can still fly. Once I leave this desert, my cultivation will recover, and that will be the day you die. The man burst into laughter. With a flap of his wings, he turned into a trail of light and flew toward the depths of the desert. Seeing this, Jiang Qin couldn't help but shake his head. He didn't even look at the man who flew away, because he knew that flying was useless, and that man was dead for sure. Trying to fly in front of me, this master dog. You're overestimating yourself. The Huang dog let out a loud laugh. With a swoosh, the wings on his back spread out, and his majestic body turned into a trail of light. In the blink of an eye, he caught up to the man who had flown far away, and blocked his path. Do you really think you can run away with that speed? The Huang dog said in an impolite manner. The man's expression changed. He didn't expect that there would be someone who could fly besides him, and it was a dog. However, his fear of De Huang dog was obviously not as great as his fear of Jiang Qin. Damn dog, get the hell away from me. The man raised the huge blade in his hand and swung it toward De Huang dog. Swoosh! The blade slashed De Huang dog's body in half. However, before the man could feel happy about it, he realized that he had just killed De Huang dog's afterimage, and De Huang dog's real body had appeared right in front of his face. Kaka, die now! Big Yellow's head smashed into the man's chest. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the combat soul warrior let out a miserable shriek. He was knocked back to where he stood, and after a few moments of struggling, he lost all signs of life. Big Yellow's head smashed into the man's chest, and he was knocked back to where he stood. After a few moments, he lost all signs of life. Many people gasped in shock. A huge part of the combat soul warrior's chest was dented, and all his internal organs were shattered. This made the crowd even more terrified of De Huang dog. The fuck, how can this dog's head be so powerful? Nangong Wendian widened his eyes in shock. This was the first time he had ever seen such a frightening dog head. Chapter 312. There was a fierce tiger in front of them, and there was no way out for them. This was a deadly situation, and these combat soul warriors had no chance of escaping from Jiang Chen's evil hands. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. When they were outside the island of ice, Jiang Chen had fallen into a deadly situation several times, but he always managed to escape. But, after entering the island of ice, the situation had completely turned around. With Jiang Chen's personality, he would never let these combat soul warriors go. Everyone had witnessed Jiang Chen's methods with their own eyes, and they knew how brutal he was. Furthermore, back in Inferno Hell, Jiang Chen had killed many divine core warriors. Even those from the Myriad Sword sect and Shengguan clan had been killed, let alone these men. In front of Jiang Chen, there was no way they could fight back. Let's attack him together. We're all at the mortal core realm. No matter how strong he is, he can't defy the natural order. That's right, let's attack together. Since we're all at the same level, I don't believe we can't kill him with so many of us. Two combat soul warriors shouted out with bloodshot eyes. Their words caused all the divine core warriors to become restless, especially those core disciples from the Shangguan clan and Myriad Sword sect. All of them joined the fight, and the same went for the rest of the men. In just the blink of an eye, more than 40 men had joined the fight. All of them were emitting killing intent as they stood opposite of Jiang Qin. They finally realized that at this moment, they had to work together in order to fight for a chance of survival. All of them were at the early mortal core realm, and no matter how strong Jiang Qin was, he wouldn't be able to deal with all of them. Of course, the core disciples from the Myriad Sword sect and Shangguan clan hated Jiang Qin to the core. Besides, they knew that once all these combat soul warriors were killed, with Jiang Qin's abilities, they would be next. Even those divine core warriors who participated in the fight had the same thought. They had tried to kill Jiang Qin before, and the hatred between them had been formed. Right now, there was no way out. Only by working together and killing Jiang Qin would they have a chance to survive. Jiang Qin, if you're smart, you still have time to run away. A combat soul warrior shouted toward Jiang Qin. It seems that you've lived for so long in vain. You can't see the real situation at all. At this time, you're still putting on a high and mighty face. Do you really think that you can kill me, Jiang Qin, with so many people joining forces? Jiang Qin's expression was cold. He glanced around and looked at the others standing in the desert. Is there anyone else who wants to kill me? I'll give you a chance. Step forward now. Jiang Qin wouldn't show any mercy to anyone who wanted to kill him. These people in front of him had their fates sealed the moment they tried to kill him. Jiang Qin had always been cruel and merciless to his enemies, and he would never leave any unnecessary troubles for himself. The crowd became restless, but no one dared step forward. Some of the men who wanted to kill Jiang Qin just now were hiding in the crowd, not daring to say a word. There were many smart men among them, and they could tell how frightening Jiang Qin was. Choosing to fight Jiang Qin in this desert was definitely not a wise choice. Instead of risking their lives, they might as well choose to protect themselves. Is that all? Jiang Qin threw his glance back at the men in front of him. A cold light flashed in his eyes like a sharp blade. He slowly raised the long sword in his hand, causing it to shine with a cold light. Kill him. The leading combat soul warrior let out a loud shout, then he turned into a trail of light and dashed toward Jiang Qin. Chapter 313. Eastern Continent, the Jian Province. On top of a rolling mountain range, a white mist could be seen drifting in the air, causing the entire mountain range to look like a fairyland. On top of the mountain range, palaces and houses could be seen everywhere. The natural yuan energy here was extremely rich, and if any ordinary warrior could cultivate here, his or her cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. This was an important place in the Jian province, a place that countless warriors yearned to visit. Because this was the base of a sect, the Myriad Sword sect. Right at this moment, outside of the Myriad Sword sect, dozens of warriors with long swords on their backs could be seen. The island of ice has reappeared 100 years ago. This is a great fortune. This time, I'll bring all of you to the island of ice, and how much you can get from it will depend on yourselves. An old man with white beard said to the people in front of him. This old man had a formidable cultivation base, and he was no weaker than Master Blissful. Aside from the two combat soul sect elders from the Tianjin Gate, the rest were all genius disciples from the Tianjin Gate. The man in the lead had a handsome face, and he was holding a folding fan in his hand. He looked to be in his 30s, but he was emitting a powerful aura, and he was a combat soul warrior. Geniuses like him were extremely rare in the entire Eastern continent. After that, the old man took out a huge sword. The sword instantly grew bigger, and all dozens of people stepped onto the huge sword and flew away. They were heading toward the ocean. With the help of these mid-combat soul warriors, it would only take them 2 to 3 days to reach the ocean from the Jian province. At the same time, the same thing was happening to the Shangguan clan in the Jian province. After discovering the island of ice had reappeared, the Shangguan clan immediately sent their elders and geniuses over. Even the Martial Palace and Martial Saint Dynasty were sent over. The island of ice's reappearance had brought a huge shock to the continent, and none of the powers in the eastern continent were willing to let go of this opportunity. All the powers and rogue cultivators from the other provinces in the eastern continent were heading there as well. For a moment, the entire sea was bustling with activity. Tyrannical figures quickly flew towards the center of the sea. Many cultivators who were closer to the sea had already arrived at the sea. The island of ice attracted the attention of countless cultivators, especially the geniuses of the younger generation. All of them were proud and arrogant, and each of them had a certain amount of luck. They wanted to rely on their luck to enter the island of ice and obtain more luck and benefits. Perhaps they could become famous in an instant. Many people still remembered that 100 years ago, the current Martial Saint Dynasty's emperor had left the island of ice. Because of that, his path of cultivation was unstoppable, and he eventually became a combat king warrior. Meanwhile, on the island of ice, the desert was huge. Jiang Chen's group was the fastest, so they were walking at the front. Waha, I'm so happy today. Not only did I eliminate those old fools, I even obtained a huge fortune. The Huang dog cackled. He was in an extremely good mood. Little Chenzi, I didn't expect you to be so ferocious. It seems that I've underestimated you. I didn't expect such a dazzling genius to exist in the eastern continent. Nangong Wendian said with a sigh. Little Chenzi has always been ferocious to his enemies. You know, those are all enemies, and if we were to fall into their hands, I'm afraid we wouldn't end up any better than them. Han Yen shrugged his shoulders with a carefree expression. This was how the world of cultivation worked. The strong preyed on the weak. Furthermore, if someone wanted to kill you, and you still wanted to be merciful, that would be no different from committing suicide. Brother Nan just said that there's such a dazzling genius in the eastern continent. Don't tell me you're not from the eastern continent. Jiang Chen was startled, then he looked at Nangong Wendian. That's right, little Chenzi, Brother Yen, although we've just met, we're kindred spirits. Furthermore, little Chenzi has saved my life before, so I won't hide it from you. I'm from the southern continent, and I was supposed to go out to train, but I didn't expect that I'd wander too far, and ended up in the eastern continent. Damn it, I'm so unlucky. I was ambushed by a soul-devouring barbaric beast the moment I arrived in the eastern continent. Although I managed to tear the beast into pieces, I was poisoned by the barbaric poison, and my soul was being devoured every second. In the end, I had no choice but to come to the blissful manor to look for some pills that could heal my soul. Ordinary soul pills are useless, as they won't be able to cure the barbaric poison. Little Chenzi, you're the best. You concocted 3 9-soul restoration pills for me, and now I've fully recovered. Nangong Wendian said. Jiang Chen and Han Yen couldn't help but sigh. They didn't expect this guy to be from the southern continent. After hearing Nangong Wendian's words, Jiang Chen and Han Yen finally understood why Nangong Wendian was willing to exchange something as precious as the 9 solar holy water for the 9 soul restoration pills. The soul-devouring barbaric beast was an extremely terrifying demonic beast. It lived in extremely dark places, and was an expert in stealth and sneak attacks. This kind of demonic beast was extremely rare, but its attacks were extremely powerful. Furthermore, it could directly attack a person's soul, and relied on devouring souls to strengthen itself. If an ordinary cultivator was attacked by a soul-devouring barbaric beast, the consequences would be unimaginable. To put it bluntly, it was Nangong Wentian's good fortune to have met Jiang Qin. Damn it, the southern continent is so far away from the eastern continent. With your speed, I'm afraid it would take you quite some time to get here, right? The Huang dog looked at Nangong Wendian and said, I'm a man who loves challenges and excitement. I spent more than a year to get here from the southern continent, but it wasn't a peaceful journey, and I went through a lot. When I have time, I'll tell you all about it. Let me tell you this, when I first came out from the southern continent, I was only an early divine core warrior. But now, I'm at the peak divine core realm, and I'll break through to the combat soul realm very soon. Hee hee. Nangong Wendian said in a narcissistic manner. The fuck? Han Yan gazed at Nangong Wendian speechlessly. With Brother Nan's talent, this is normal. Jiang Chen nodded his head and said. The journey from the southern continent to the eastern continent was a huge distance, and one could imagine how dangerous it was. Only by constantly experiencing danger and danger could a man grow faster. Furthermore, Nangong Wendian's talent was no weaker than anyone else's, and it was normal for him to have such a huge improvement after spending more than a year in the southern continent. Brother Nan, where did you get so much 9 solar holy water? Han Yan asked. Not much, Daddy only has 8 drops of 9 solar holy water on me. I used 1 drop myself, exchanged 3 drops for a 9 soul restoration pill, and gave 3 drops to Master Blissful as a reward. Now, I only have 1 drop left. Nangong Wendian said in a gloomy manner. Nangong Wendian didn't tell them where he got the 9 solar holy water, and neither did Jiang Qin or Han Yan ask. The two of them didn't ask about Nangong Wendian's identity in the southern continent either. In their eyes, having a brother and friend like him was more than enough. If Nangong Wendian was willing to tell them, he would tell them himself. If he didn't want to tell them, they would just be forcing him. The group continued walking forward. Even with their speed, it took them 2 hours to walk out of the desert. There was no night or day on the island of ice, neither was there a sun or a moon. Everything looked very calm, and it wasn't as dangerous or brutal as Inferno Hell. The weather was calm, the light was calm, everything seemed very calm. Waha, my cultivation has recovered. As expected, as long as we walk out of the desert, that mysterious force will disappear on its own. My cultivation has recovered as well. It feels so good to have my cultivation back. I couldn't even breathe when I was suppressed by that force. We've finally entered the island of ice. What awaits us is an endless amount of treasures. After walking out of the desert, everyone began to shout out in excitement. It was just as they had expected. The ancient and mysterious power only existed in the desert. As long as they walked out of the desert, the mysterious power would disappear and everyone's cultivation base would be completely restored. After walking out of the desert, there was a plain in front of them. The plain was very flat, no different from an ordinary plain. There weren't any treasures here either. Fly towards the end of the plain, we'll definitely find some treasures. Someone said. Right at this moment, many people threw their glances at Jiang Qin. Before they came to the island of ice, Jiang Qin was surrounded by enemies, and he could die at any moment. But after experiencing the desert, Jiang Qin had killed all his enemies with his own hands. Now that they had walked out of the desert, he didn't have to worry about his safety. The remaining combat soul warriors didn't have any grudges against Jiang Qin. If they did, they would have attacked him long ago. As for those divine core warriors who had grudges against Jiang Qin, none of them dared attack Jiang Qin. They had indeed recovered their cultivation, but so had Jiang Qin. The group of over 10,000 men were scattered in different directions, and they were all flying towards the end of the plane at the same time. This time, they were flying, no longer walking. A few minutes later, they reached the end of the plane. In front of them, a white fog suddenly appeared. When they got closer, they realized that there were actually 9 paths in front of them. In other words, there were 9 paths in front of them. Each path seemed to have appeared out of thin air. It was full of an illusory feeling, and it seemed a little unreal. Why are there so many paths? How are we going to choose? We have to be careful. Although this island of ice is a treasure, there are many dangerous places in it as well. I'm sure some of these 9 paths will lead to the place where the treasure is, and some will lead to dangerous places. That's right, let's wait and see. Don't act too rashly. If we end up in a dangerous place, we'll just be throwing our lives away. The group who were flying in a panic immediately stopped and stared at the 9 paths in front of them. For a moment, they didn't know what to choose. The mysterious force that was suppressing them in the desert had proven that this island of ice was an extraordinary place. As the saying goes, danger and opportunity coexist. Where there was a great opportunity, there would be a great danger. No one would joke around with their lives, and they had to be careful when choosing the path. The 2 young men finally recovered from the shock, then they looked at each other and burst out laughing. Ha, I know, the island of ice's treasure is prepared for those who are lucky enough to enter, those who are not lucky enough to be able to enter. Since we entered and didn't die, it means we are lucky enough to be able to enter. Ha. The 2 young men were extremely excited. They turned around and walked into the deeper part of the path, disappearing in the blink of an eye. That's strange, I don't believe it. It must be this path's problem. Let me try another path. I'll choose the first path. An old man in his 50s walked toward the first path. He stopped when he reached the front of the path. Judging from the sweat on his face, he was extremely nervous. After all, he had done something bad before, so he would be lying if he said he wasn't nervous. Damn it, let's do it. The old man clenched his teeth. It took him so much effort to enter, he couldn't just leave empty-handed. The old man took a step forward and entered the path. See? I told you it's the path's problem, nothing happened to it, arg. The old man's excitement had just started, but he immediately let out a miserable shriek just like before. In the next moment, his body exploded and turned into a blood mist. In the next moment, he disappeared, just like before. Swoosh! This time, everyone was scared out of their wits. One by one, they looked at the 9 paths in front of them as if they were looking at the path of death. The deaths of those who entered were too strange. They died for no reason at all. There was no reason at all. Damn it, this is too scary. What's going on? That's right, this is too scary. There's something wrong with all 9 paths, someone is going to die. Everyone was shocked, and no one could stay calm anymore. Their mindset of searching for treasures had completely changed. No matter how precious the treasures were, they were not as important as their lives. The dozens of combat soul warriors in front of them were frowning as well, and their hearts were racing. One of them finally couldn't resist the temptation, and walked toward one of the paths. If you're dead, it means your cultivation level is too low. After saying that, the man took a step into the path. Right when he stepped into the path, everyone could see a frightened expression on his face. He was trying his best to escape from the path, but in the end, he was killed. Bang! A deep explosion sounded out. The combat soul warrior's body exploded, turning into a blood mist that drifted away in the air. Even a combat soul warrior is dead, who else dares go in? We're finished, this is the path of death, there's no way to enter it. Could it be that what that guy said earlier is true? They are all men with great fortunes. Fear appeared in everyone's hearts. They couldn't help but panic when faced with a situation like this. The golden lion furrowed his brows even tighter. As if he had just thought of something, he threw his glance at a young man who was not far away from him. The young man was only a peak heavenly core warrior, and he looked like a yes man with a pale face. Clearly, he was frightened by what had just happened. Slap! The golden lion grabbed the young man's shoulder and said, "You, go in. Senior, please spare my life, I don't want to die." The young man was so scared that he almost peed his pants. In his mind, he was cursing the golden lion's uncle. So many people had died, and asking him to go in was no different than asking him to die. He didn't think he was some man with great fortunes. "Go, you might not die." The golden lion exerted his strength and threw the young man into the hole like a kite. The young man was so scared that he immediately started screaming, and his face turned extremely pale. However, the strength of a combat soul warrior was too strong, and he had no other choice. Plop! The young man sat down at the entrance of the path. He was so nervous that his body was trembling. His eyes were tightly closed, and his pants were wet. He had really peed his pants. 1 minute passed, but the young man was still alive. He slowly opened his eyes and found that he was indeed in the path, but he was still alive. He immediately jumped up from the ground and stood up. "Waha, Daddy is still alive. Daddy is also a man with great fortunes." The young man was extremely excited. He was still alive. He immediately bowed toward the golden lion, then he turned around and walked into the path. What happened? Why did some people die, but some didn't? This was the biggest mystery in everyone's mind. This was unbelievable. "Little Chinzi, what's going on?" Han Yen asked. "Don't you understand? All these paths are the same, but they are selective. Did you guys notice that those who entered the path, those who are young are still alive, but those who are old are all dead? That means, only the young can enter the path safely, and those who are too old will immediately die." Jiang Chen didn't lower his voice, so everyone heard what he said. Brother Jiang Chen is right. If my guess is correct, all the young men below the age of 30 can enter, but those who are above the age of 30 can't enter. The golden lion said in a gloomy manner. All the combat soul warriors felt gloomy as well. Obviously, all of them were above the age of 30. I understand now, this path is prepared for the young. You guys are all old, and you don't have much potential left. The island of ice won't give you the fortune. A young man burst into laughter, then he flew toward one of the paths. Soon after, he disappeared into the path, and nothing happened to him. I don't think it's just 30, I'm 31 this year, I might be able to enter as well. Why don't you give it a try? Sure, I'll give it a try. The 31-year-old man walked forward with an imposing manner. He was extremely confident, thinking that he was still very young. But too bad, when he walked into the path, he realized his mistake. After the 31-year-old man turned into a cloud of blood mist, the crowd finally understood what had happened. Many people started feeling dejected, but those young men were extremely excited. It turned out that the island of ice wasn't open to everyone, it was only open to the young men. In this way, the pressure and the competition between the young men had instantly decreased by quite a bit. Looking at all the young men who were below the age of 30 walking into different paths, Han Yen and Nangong Wendian both pursed their lips. Hee, it's more interesting to fight with the younger generation. Little Chinzi, let's go. Nangong Wendian said. But right at this moment, Jiang Chen furrowed his brows. According to his age, he was only 16 years old, not even 17 years old. However, his soul was that of an old monster who had lived for more than 1,000 years. If this was counted as his age, wouldn't that mean he was finished? Chapter 3:15. Motherfucker, I've come here for nothing. Old man Ling Shan said in a gloomy manner. Rogue cultivators like us don't even have a talented junior. If not, we might be able to bring our juniors here to look for opportunities. Another combat soul warrior said. Daddy will only accept a genius disciple when I get back. This is so depressing. The golden lion was even more gloomy. The island of ice had finally appeared, but all he could do was stare at it. Those mighty warriors from the superpowers weren't able to enter the island of ice, but the young warriors they brought with them could enter. This was a good thing for the superpowers. Right at this moment, a figure flew toward them and stood in front of the crowd. It was none other than Master Blissful. What happened? Why aren't you guys going in? Also, who killed those corpses outside? Master Blissful looked at the golden lion and the others. I killed them all. Jiang Chen said. Only now did Master Blissful notice Jiang Chen and the others. When he recalled the horrifying scene in the desert, his expression changed. I understand. Master Blissful sighed and nodded his head. Thinking about the grudge between Jiang Chen and those men, and the fact that his cultivation was suppressed in the desert, it wasn't hard for him to guess that Jiang Chen had something to do with this. Even so, Master Blissful still admired Jiang Chen's courage. Even he didn't dare offend the Myriad Sword sect and Shengguan clan. Why did Master Blissful only show up now? Jiang Chen asked curiously. We encountered some trouble at the bottom of the ocean, and now the island of ice has appeared. Why aren't you guys going in? Master Blissful looked at the paths and asked. Master Blissful, we can't go in, not even you. These paths are evil, only those below 30 years old can enter. Those above 30 years old will be killed. Old man Ling Shan said with a smile on his face. What? Master Blissful's expression changed. Master, old man Ling Shan is right, that's the truth. Nangong Wendian said. Hearing this, Master Blissful was struck dumb. Sure enough, he saw that those people walking towards the 9 paths were all young men. He couldn't help but widen his eyes as he blurted out, what the fuck? To anyone, this kind of situation would make them speechless. The treasure was right in front of them, but they had no fate with it. This kind of feeling was incomprehensible to ordinary people. This is fate. 100 years ago, when the current emperor entered the island of ice, he was only 20 years old. Unfortunately, the island of ice only appears once every 100 years. We can only blame ourselves for being born at the wrong time. Now, we can only find another way out. If we're lucky, we might be able to find some treasures. The Golden Lion Great Demon said. Although the cultivators above the age of 30 were extremely depressed, this was the truth. There was no other way. They couldn't just barge in and die, right? Little Chinzi, let's not waste any more time. Let's hurry inside. Nangong Wentian could not wait any longer. Jiang Chen frowned. For the first time in his life, he felt uncertain. Little Chinzi, what's wrong? Han Yan noticed that Jiang Chen didn't look too good. Nothing. Jiang Chen smiled. If there's nothing else, let's hurry inside. De Huang dog could not wait any longer. I say, De Huang, you old dog, how old are you? Don't go in there and get yourself killed. Nangong Wentian looked at De Huang dog and said. Get lost. You're the old dog. Damn it, I'm a wise and strong man, how could I be 30 years old? The Huang dog bared his teeth and stared at Nan Gong Wen Tian angrily. Jiang Chen's heart was beating like a drum, but he could not let go of the opportunity in front of him. Besides, he could feel that there was something in this island of ice that was calling out to him. Let's go. Jiang Chen clenched his teeth. He had no choice but to fight. Which path should we take? Han Yan asked. Whatever. No matter which path we take, it won't be ordinary. Jiang Chen's gaze fell onto the fourth path. He took a deep breath and strode forward. Master Blissful, we're going in. If we find something good, we'll share it with you. Nan Gong Wen Tian laughed out and was the first one to enter the path. He was about the same age as Han Yan, around 20 years old. Entering the island of ice shouldn't be a problem for him. In the blink of an eye, Han Yan, the Huang dog, and Nan Gong Wen Tian had all entered the path. Jiang Chen took another deep breath and stepped into the path. Instantly, he felt that his soul was shaken. This made Jiang Chen's heart skip a beat. Luckily, the shaking only lasted for a second, and Jiang Chen's condition stabilized. Jiang Chen let out a long sigh of relief, as the stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. Damn it, luckily, that force is only related to my age, and not my soul. Otherwise, this old man, who has lived for more than 1,000 years, would have died instantly. Jiang Chen felt lucky in his mind. Little Chenzi, why do I feel like something's not right with your emotions? Han Yan asked curiously. He had been with Jiang Chen for a long time, and Jiang Chen had always been calm and collected. No matter how difficult or dangerous the situation was, he would always face it calmly. He had never had such a huge change in his emotions before. Nothing, I was just thinking about something. Let's go, I don't think this path will be easy, let's be careful. Jiang Chen reminded them. Cultivating the great soul derivation skill had made him extremely sensitive, allowing him to accurately sense that this island of ice wasn't an ordinary place. There was a saying that opportunities and dangers coexisted, and if they wanted to find something good, they had to be prepared for danger. All right. Both Han Yan and Nan Gong Wen Tian nodded their heads. In an environment like this, even with their strength, they didn't dare show any carelessness. Everything on this island of ice was extremely bizarre, and even a combat soul warrior had been killed at the entrance. It wasn't difficult to imagine what would happen if that mysterious destructive force hit them. They wouldn't be able to escape either. Tap tap, the path was extremely quiet, so quiet that it was frightening. Only the sound of footsteps could be heard. 3 men and a dog were walking on the path with serious expressions on their faces. They had to be extremely careful. I feel like this path is going to be very long. Nan Gong Wen Tian said. This path is filled with cracks, and it's filled with an ancient aura. I wonder how many years this path has existed for, it's really eerie. Han Yan furrowed his brows. Everything here is extraordinary, we can't be careless, this path won't be peaceful. Jiang Chen's instinct told him that this path wasn't as dangerous as it looked. 3 men and a dog kept walking at the same speed. After walking for an hour, they suddenly heard a miserable scream coming from not far away from them. The scream was extremely frightening, as if it didn't come from a human. Jiang Chen and the other 3 couldn't help but increase their speed. Soon after, they saw a man lying on the ground a few hundred meters away from them, and his body was covered with blood. What was even more frightening was that the man's head had exploded, leaving behind a headless corpse. Blood was flowing out from the severed head, it was a terrifying scene. It's the man who came here before us. He was walking in front of us, but we didn't expect him to be killed. Han Yan said. This man is an early divine core warrior, and judging from his injuries, I think his head was exploded by a single punch, and he didn't even have the strength to fight back. Nan Gong Wentian said. Be careful, there might be some unknown creatures here. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. How can we be sure? Nan Gong Wentian looked at Jiang Chen and asked. Because not many people have come here before us, and none of them have a particularly strong cultivation base. At least, no one has the ability to explode an early divine core warrior's head with a single punch. Besides, there are no treasures here, so there's no need to fight for them. I don't think anyone will kill each other before we reach the end of the path. Jiang Qin concluded. What little Chinzi said is right, since it's not a human, then there must be some other monsters hiding here. Han Yan's expression changed. Be careful. Jiang Chen suddenly shouted out. With incredible speed, he punched toward Han Yan's back. Bang! Following a deep explosive sound, Jiang Chen's fist collided with something. Han Yan immediately turned around, and what he saw was a boulder that was taller than him. That's right, it was a boulder. Its entire body was yellow, and it had existed for a long time. The boulder had a pair of legs, and it looked exactly like a human. The only difference was that it didn't have any facial features on its head. It was a moving boulder, and it gave off an eerie feeling. Crack, crack. After being severely injured by Jiang Chen's punch, cracks started appearing on the boulder's body. After that, it shattered into pieces and fell onto the ground. Damn it, what the hell is this thing? Where did it come from? How come I didn't even sense it? Han Yan couldn't help but curse. Just thinking about it made him feel scared. If not for Jiang Chen's timely attack, he would have been killed by the boulder. Be careful, it seems like this boulder exists in the air. It can't be seen or touched, and it can attack at any time. I think this man was killed by the boulder's sudden attack. Jiang Chen said. Although the boulder is strong, it's definitely not a match for me. But, it's hard to guard against them when they hide in the air. Han Yan frowned. He was powerful and had sharp senses, but the boulder was like a ghost. If he was careless, he wouldn't be able to sense it. There's definitely more than one boulder. Jiang Chen squatted down and picked up a random stone chip. After a careful examination, he said, the boulder doesn't have any elemental energy waves. It relies on its own strength, which is why it's hard to sense its existence. Besides, these boulders don't have any signs of life, and they only know how to attack. It's hard to guard against them. The good thing is that once they are shattered, they will die instantly. Chapter 316. Jiang Chen looked around. There was nothing around them except for the white fog. Even when they used their divine sense to probe the surrounding space, they still couldn't find anything. Let's keep moving. Try to get as close as possible. It's better to be safe than sorry. Jiang Chen said. Damn it. This stone golem doesn't even have a demon spirit in its body. This is so depressing. The Huang dog mumbled. He thought that since this stone golem could survive in such a strange space, it must have some extraordinary treasures in its body, just like the 9-life crystal beast in purgatory. Unfortunately, after the stone golem was killed, there was nothing but a pile of broken stones, not even a strand of hair. This stone golem doesn't even have elemental energy, so how could it have a demon spirit? However, fighting these elusive stone golems in this space can train your senses. Jiang Chen patted Nan Gong Wendian and Han Yan's shoulders. Fighting in such a highly concentrated state was very beneficial to the training of a cultivator's soul force and senses. The three of them and the dog continued to move forward. About half an hour later, they saw another corpse ahead of them. This corpse's death was exactly the same as the previous one. Both had their heads blown off by a single punch. Judging from the way the corpse died, there wasn't any intense battle before it died. In other words, this person was killed by the stone golem with a single blow before he could react. Whoosh! A gust of cold wind suddenly blew out from the void. A stone golem suddenly appeared in front of De Huang Dog like a ghost. It aimed its gigantic fist at De Huang Dog's head and smashed it down. Bang! The stone golem's fist smashed onto De Huang Dog's head. The expected scene of the stone golem's head exploding did not happen. Instead, the stone golem's arm was directly shattered. Kaka, you want to explode this master dog's head with just this little bit of attack power. You're too weak. De Huang Dog laughed loudly. He suddenly dashed forward and smashed the stone golem into pieces, scattering them all over the ground. Damn, De Huang, how did you train your dog? You're too awesome. Nan Gong Wen gave a thumbs up to De Huang Dog. He was really impressed. De Huang's head is the hardest thing I've ever seen. If those stone monsters only attack the head and not the other parts of his body, De Huang won't even need to resist. He'll just stand there and let the stone monsters hit him. He was quite confident in De Huang Dog's head. Even a high-ranked combat weapon couldn't break his head, let alone these stone golems. Phew! As he spoke, an obscure wind appeared once again, and a stone golem appeared behind Nangong Wentian. Humph! Nangong Wentian coldly snorted. His reaction was extremely fast. He quickly turned around and punched the golem behind him. This punch brought along a thunderous sound. It was an extremely oppressive sound of an elephant. When Nangong Wendian punched out, it was as if a barbarian elephant had appeared. With just a single punch, the golem was smashed into pieces. Jie, in front of my 10,000 everlasting elephant skill, everything will be destroyed, Kaka. Nangong Wendian let out a narcissistic laugh. Big brother, wake up. That golem is only an early divine core warrior, and it doesn't have any yuan energy, it's just the strength of its body. Han Yan pulled Nangong Wendian's clothes, telling him not to be so narcissistic. Nangong Wendian let out a few light coughs. He suddenly felt that killing an early divine core monster with a single punch wasn't a big deal. If a stone golem like this were to attack head-on, many people would be able to kill it. But your 10,000 everlasting elephant skill is pretty powerful. Jiang Chen said. With his experience, he could easily tell how terrifying Nangong Wendian's skill was. Slap. Ling Du slapped the man's face and shouted, "Bullshit. What cultivation level does that Jiang Chen have? How could he kill all those combat soul warriors? It's because the desert restricts everyone's cultivation level to the early mortal core realm. That Jiang Chen has a strong body, and he's invincible amongst those who are at the same level as him. That's why he was able to kill all your men." The rogue warrior was cursing in his mind. He was really unlucky, but he didn't dare show any neglect when facing Ling Du's question. He's right, all your men were killed by Jiang Chen, he is a madman. Someone said. Where is Jiang Chen? Ling Du said while gnashing his teeth. He has entered the inner part of the island of ice. The man said. Damn this Jiang Chen, I'm going to tear him into a million pieces. Come, let's enter the inner part of the island of ice. Shang Guanhui unleashed his energy and was about to walk toward one of the paths. Don't go in. Someone shouted out. Right now, they had to stop Shang Guanhui from entering the inner part of the island of ice. If they didn't, Shang Guanhui would be killed immediately, and the Shengguan clan would blame them for not reporting what happened to him. If that happened, all of them would die together with Shang Guanhui. Buzz, right after Han Yan's words left his mouth, thousands of stone golems suddenly emerged from the mountain range. After these stone golems appeared, they didn't make any sound and simply threw themselves at Jiang Chen and the group. So many stone golems. Nangong Wendian was shocked. These stone golems don't have a high cultivation base, let's fly over them. After saying that, Jiang Chen leapt into the air. The stone golems followed suit and blocked in front of Jiang Chen. Die! Jiang Chen punched out with his fist. It was a punch that could shake a mountain, and it contained a scorching hot energy. With just a single punch, he shattered dozens of stone golems, and after that, he continued flying forward with incredible speed. Han Yan and Nangong Wendian didn't dare slow down. They followed closely behind Jiang Chen and kept fighting the stone golems. The stone golems here are endless. Luckily, this mountain range isn't too big, so we can quickly tear open a path. The Huang dog looked mighty. With his majestic body, he smashed all the stone golems into pieces. 3 men and a dog were slaughtering their way forward, but none of them noticed that the mountain in the center of the mountain range was glowing brightly. Every time the light glowed, more stone golems would appear from within the mountain range. They surrounded Jiang Chen and the group from all directions. The good thing was, these stone golems didn't have any yuan energy, and they could only attack with their physical strength. At most, they could only attack with the strength of an early divine core warrior, and they couldn't pose any threat to the group. But they couldn't keep besieging them like this. Humph. You think you can stop me with this bunch of lifeless things? Break for me. Jiang Chen let out a cold snort. He waved his hand and unleashed the true dragon flame. The scorching hot flame could burn anything, and all the stone golems were instantly melted when they touched it. The 30-meter-long flame looked like a blazing fire dragon as it ferociously charged forward, burning all of the stone golems to ashes. However, many stone golems tried to stop it. The same number of stone golems were burned to death. Let's go! Jiang Chen let out a loud shout. The group followed the fire dragon and flew forward. The fire dragon was unstoppable, and everything that stood in its way was destroyed. This fire dragon is amazing, it just opened up a path for us. No matter how many stone golems there are, we won't have to worry about them at all. We'll be able to cross 100 miles in no time. Nangong Wendian burst into laughter. But their excitement didn't last long, and something strange happened again. Jiang Chen had been fighting the fire dragon for more than 10 minutes. More than 10 minutes, with their speed, even if they were blocked, they would be able to cross 1,000 miles in no time. However, the stone golems in all directions didn't decrease at all. Instead, there were more and more stone golems. What's going on? There are more and more stone golems, and I don't think we're able to cross them. Nangong Wendian frowned. Damn it, look at that mountain in front of us. When we first started, that mountain was right in front of us, and it's still right in front of us now. It seems like we've been fighting for so long, but we're still at the same spot. The Huang dog finally realized something, and he felt extremely depressed. So that's how it is. This mountain range is so strange, it's like it can move by itself. Han Yan also realized what was going on. Normally, they should have already left the mountain range, but now, it seemed like they hadn't even left the place they were originally at. Damn it, there's no end to the stone golems in this damn place. If we don't leave, we'll die of exhaustion sooner or later. Nangong Wendian's 10,000 elephants' godly fist smashed dozens of stone golems into pieces, but it was useless. More and more stone golems pounced on them, and if this continued, they wouldn't even have time to rest. If they couldn't leave the mountain range, they would die of exhaustion sooner or later. There must be a reason. You guys deal with the stone golems first, I'll check out the terrain. Jiang Chen recalled the fire dragon and used the Great Soul Derivation technique to check out the mountain range. Han Yan, Nangong Wentian, and De Huang Dog surrounded Jiang Qin and killed the stone golems that were charging at them. Maybe there are more bronze plates than just these two. De Huang Dog guessed. It's highly possible. Anyway, let's put them away first. They might be useful in the future. After saying that, Jiang Qin put away the two bronze plates in his hand. Although the bronze plates didn't look special, Jiang Qin knew that they weren't ordinary. Let's leave this place quickly. De Huang Dog said. 3 people and a dog walked along the mountain. This time, they didn't encounter any stone golems. However, when they were about to walk out of the mountain, a white fog suddenly appeared in front of them. It blinded their eyes and made them feel cold. The environment here is unpredictable. It's really bad. Han Yan said gloomily. I can feel that the white fog in front of us isn't dangerous. Once we pass through this white fog, we might enter another world. Jiang Qin smiled. He took a step forward and disappeared into the white mist in the blink of an eye. Soon, the 3 people and the dog walked out of the white fog. Just like what Jiang Qin had said, after getting out of the white fog, they saw another world. There was a plain in front of them, and the sky was blue. However, what attracted them the most was not this scenery, but the floating garden in the sky. That's right, the sky garden. At that moment, many people were walking back and forth in the sky above the garden. Those people all looked excited. Some of them had already started fighting. Moreover, there were people rushing out from other directions. After seeing the garden in the sky, they directly flew up. Jiang Qin knew that those people must have come out from other paths. The number of people coming out from those paths was obviously much more than the number of people coming out from the path they had come out from. From this, it could be seen that the other paths weren't that dangerous. Some paths were even safe. However, the path Jiang Qin had come out from, only 3 people and a dog had come out unscathed. The others had all died miserably. However, that wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that the garden in the sky was too attractive. Even though they were far away, they could still smell the rich smell coming from the garden. The strong smell of spiritual medicine rushed into their noses, making them feel relaxed and happy. Get out of the way. I found this 1,000-year-old ginseng, fuck you. Why didn't you tell me that I broke the matrix? You can't get it yourself, yet you're jealous of others. There are so many spiritual medicines here. Go find something else. Holy shit. What is that? That's the mysterious Yuan ancient jade. Why is there such a big piece here? Holy shit. Look. That's the flourishing Lotus King. It's a spiritual medicine that you can't even find in the outside world. Oh my god. There are rare spiritual medicines everywhere. This garden in the sky is a huge treasure. The people in the sky above the garden were all shouting excitedly. They had just seen a rare spiritual medicine genius that they would never see in their entire lives. Waha, a huge treasure. There really is a huge treasure. Master Dog will go first. De Huang Dog wagged his thick tail, turned into a beam of golden light and rushed into the sky garden. Jiang Qin and the other 2 followed him. When they entered the garden, they were immediately shocked by the scene inside. Holy shit! Nan Gong Wentian's eyes were wide open. He felt as if he was dreaming. Holy shit! This garden has a circumference of 10 miles. Holy shit! There are spiritual medicines everywhere. Many of them are ancient. If this place was outside, all the sects would fight each other for it. Han Yan jumped up from his seat. Compared to this sky garden, Guishan's herb garden was like bullshit. The difference between them was too huge. Swoosh swoosh, more and more people appeared, rushing towards the sky garden. The number of people entering the island of ice was definitely not limited to those who had entered the island of ice at the beginning. During the days when the island of ice's entrance was still open, more and more young people would come to the island of ice in search of fortune. Those guys came out looking so relaxed, as if nothing happened to them. But we had to risk our lives to get out. How depressing. Chapter 319. Nangong Wendian and Jiang Qin had noticed these people as well. Some of them had obvious injuries on their bodies, and it looked like they had encountered some dangers in the paths as well. However, the danger level was slightly lower than Jiang Chen's group. There were also some paths where no one had come out. Obviously, they had encountered some great danger, and they might not have the chance to come out again. As for those who hadn't encountered any danger, they had already come out from the paths, and were now in the Sky Garden. They must have obtained a lot of benefits. It took Jiang Qin and the others 2.5 days to come out from the paths. No matter what, those who had walked out of the 9 paths had now encountered the greatest opportunity in their lives. This garden in the sky was a peerless treasure. Every spiritual herb here had unimaginable benefits for the human body. Everyone's eyes had turned red, and they were shouting out excitedly. "Ha, this fiery dragon fruit is mine." A divine core warrior burst into laughter. He extended his hand and grabbed towards a bright red fiery dragon fruit. Right when his palm was about to touch the fruit, a barrier suddenly appeared around the fiery dragon fruit and blocked the warrior's hand. At the same time, a rebounding force was unleashed from the barrier, forcing the warrior to take 3 steps back. On the other side, the Huang dog was drooling. He aimed at a herb and was about to eat it, but he was blocked by a barrier as well, causing him to feel a pain in his teeth. Haha, idiot, there are defense mechanisms around these herbs. If you can't break the formation, don't even think about getting the herbs. The newcomers are all rookies. Someone burst into laughter. Those who were the first batch of people had obviously found out something was wrong. Damn it, there really is a defense mechanism around the herbs. This master dog was too panicked just now, so I didn't have time to check it out. But, trying to stop this master dog with such a small defense mechanism. You are way too naive. The Huang dog opened his mouth and spat out a talisman onto the barrier. The barrier shook a few times, then it shattered into pieces. The Huang dog swallowed the herb with a single bite. This is strange, even the herbs are protected by a defense mechanism. Han Yen widened his eyes. Otherwise, do you think there would be so many elixirs here? Not to mention a garden with a circumference of 10 li, even a circumference of 100 li would have been ransacked by now. Every stalk of spiritual herb here is protected by a restrictive spell. In other words, if you want to obtain the spiritual herb, you must first break the restrictive spell. Moreover, the degree of preciousness, age, and value of the spiritual herb are different. The more precious the herb, the harder it is to break the restrictive spell. Jiang Chen said with a faint smile. Indeed, Han Yen and Nangong Wendian saw many cultivators exerting their strength on those precious spirit herbs. One of them forcibly occupied a flourishing Lotus King. His face was flushed red. No matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't break the seal around the flourishing Lotus King. There are so many spiritual herbs here. What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Nangong Wendian kept the huge ruler in his hand and walked towards one of the spirit herbs with a smile on his face. He abruptly stretched out his palm and a bright light flickered on his palm as he pressed it down on the spirit herb. With a bang, the seal on the spirit herb was broken and the spirit herb was in his hands. The weaker ones have already been taken by others. The ones left behind are the ones that aren't easy to break, but they're still precious. However, Nan, your method of breaking the restrictions is too clumsy. If you use brute force to break the restrictions, you'll die of exhaustion if you run into a slightly more difficult restriction. Jiang Chen said to Nangong Wendian. What the fuck? You're talking like you're so strong. Don't tell me you didn't use brute force to break the restrictive spells. Nangong Wendian couldn't accept it. In his mind, Jiang Chen was an abnormal monster with incredible combat strength, and he was also a great alchemist. A man like him must be a rookie when it came to defense mechanisms. The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth curled up. He didn't even look at the spiritual herb as he casually pointed at it. The restrictive spell was instantly broken and the spiritual herb flew into Jiang Chen's hand as if it was being summoned. Jiang Chen strode forward. His fingertips flickered with a bright light. Every time he flicked his finger, a restrictive spell would be broken and all kinds of spiritual herbs would be taken into his pouch effortlessly. This scene caught many people's attention, including Nangong Wendian and Han Yen. This damn freak, I can't play with him anymore. The muscles on Nangong Wendian's face twitched. He finally saw what a real monster was. With his eyesight, he could naturally tell that Jiang Chen didn't use any yuan qi when he broke the restrictive spells. Instead, he used restrictive spells to break the restrictive spells. To be able to do this, one must have a high level of attainment in the Tao of restrictive spells and techniques. Han Yen was slightly better. After all, he had been following Jiang Chen for a long time. Jiang Chen's image of a freak had been deeply ingrained in his mind. No matter how strange Jiang Chen's performance was, Han Yen wouldn't be too surprised. Damn it, isn't he bullying us? Isn't that Jiang Chen? Is he still human? His combat strength is incredible, his alchemy skills are brilliant, and he's also an expert in restrictive spells and arrays. Is he trying to kill us? Breaking the seal with a wave of his hand. If this goes on, won't all the spiritual herbs here be collected by him? This won't do. I have to work hard. If I can't get some of such a big treasure, it will be a waste. Those cultivators who had entered the Sky Garden before could not take it anymore. Jiang Chen's performance had hit them hard. Putting aside Jiang Chen's side, the Huang dog's side was even fiercer than Jiang Chen's. Wherever the dog went, there was an empty space. When he spat out the symbols, he had already pounced on the spiritual herbs. The moment the restrictive spells were broken, the spiritual herbs were already in his mouth. Damn it, what the hell is this dog? Don't tell me the restriction doesn't work on him. He's too cruel. He ate so many spiritual herbs. Isn't he afraid that he will explode? I can't take it anymore. I can't even compare to a dog. Many people felt dizzy. They didn't know where this guy came from. He was too cruel and inhumane. Of course, he wasn't a human. The Huang dog was like a tornado. When he saw the spiritual herbs he liked, he immediately pounced on them. He didn't care if there were people there or not. Damned dog, get lost. This old ginseng is mine. That cultivator shouted at the Huang dog. He hadn't participated in the Blissful Islands trade fair before. It was obvious that he didn't know how powerful the Huang dog was. Woof. Get lost, idiot. The Huang dog casually emitted an aura from his body and sent that cultivator flying. Then, he ate the old ginseng clean. As more and more people came, the Sky Garden became more and more chaotic. Many people started to fight. After being stimulated by Jiang Chen and the Huang dog, seeing that the spiritual herbs were getting lesser and lesser, many people started to work together. After all, many of the restrictive spells on the spiritual herbs were very strong. It was very difficult for one person to break them. At this time, the disciples of the big forces were taking advantage of the situation. They had high-quality magic treasures in their hands. When they worked together, they had a better understanding of each other. This way, they would be able to get many spiritual herbs. Plop! That cultivator who had been using all his strength on the flourishing Lotus King for 2 hours finally couldn't take it anymore. He fell on the ground, sweating profusely. It was quite admirable for someone to put in so much effort for a spiritual herb. Unfortunately, even after using all his strength, he still couldn't break the restrictive spell. A huge dog head appeared on top of that cultivator's head. The Huang dog grinned at the cultivator lying on the ground and said, "Hee hee, you can't do it. Let this master dog help you." The Huang dog leapt over that cultivator's body and arrived in front of the flourishing Lotus King. This flourishing Lotus King was actually as tall as a human. Its entire body was as bright as a crystal. With just one look, one could tell that it had been growing for a very long time. This was a high-grade spiritual herb, a rare treasure that couldn't be found in the outside world. The Huang dog's eyes shone brightly. He opened his mouth and spat out a talisman pattern. The talisman pattern condensed into a restrictive spell and collided with the restrictive spell around the flourishing Lotus King. Buzz! The two restrictive spells collided with each other, producing a buzzing sound. Although the restrictive spell protecting the flourishing Lotus King didn't break, its light had dimmed a lot. This restrictive spell isn't weak at all. Even this master dog can't break it in one go. But if you want to stop this master dog, you're too naive. Break for me, the Huang dog said. He opened his mouth and spat out a few mysterious talisman patterns. This dog was proficient in the heavenly book of source formations. He knew every kind of restrictive spell in this world. He could even create a complicated restrictive spell like the spiraling restrictive spell, let alone this place. If the Huang dog was given enough time, he would be able to take all the spiritual herbs in this place. The few mysterious talisman patterns gently landed on the restrictive spell, causing it to tremble violently. In the blink of an eye, a soft pop sound was heard and the restrictive spell shattered. The resplendent flourishing Lotus King was completely revealed. The aura it emitted was enough to make people feel relaxed and happy. What the fuck? No way. The guy who was still gasping for breath on the ground wanted to bang his head against the wall when he saw this. At the same time, he hated the Huang dog so much that he gnashed his teeth in anger. He had been busy for 2 hours and had almost collapsed from exhaustion. Yet, he still hadn't been able to break the restrictive spell. But this dog had done it. How could he not feel depressed? Wakaka, this taste must be amazing. Big Yellow let out a loud laughter, and his saliva was flying everywhere. He opened his mouth and tried to swallow the flourishing Lotus King, but right at this moment, a huge hand covered the flourishing Lotus King with lightning speed. It uprooted the flourishing Lotus King and stored it away. The Huang dog's eyes were spitting fire. He didn't even need to think to know who dared to steal his things. Bastard! There are so many spiritual herbs here, why did you steal this master dog's? The Huang dog looked at Jiang Qin, who had suddenly appeared in front of him. White smoke was constantly coming out of his nostrils. The Huang, the medicinal strength of this flourishing Lotus King is too strong. I'm afraid that you won't be able to handle it after eating it. Give me back my flourishing Lotus King. Jiang Qin put on a look that said, I'm doing this for your own good. Get lost. I won't even explode after eating you. Give me back my flourishing Lotus King. The Huang dog gnashed his teeth in anger. Although he knew very well that the flourishing Lotus King was already in Jiang Qin's hands, he still couldn't help but threaten Jiang Qin. Chapter 320. More and more people were gathering in the sky garden, and the herbs kept disappearing. All the people here were geniuses from the younger generation. These herbs were enough to create some geniuses, and now, they were in the hands of these geniuses. As long as these geniuses didn't die here due to bad luck, once they left the island of ice, their cultivations would definitely improve greatly. Everyone, stop! Suddenly, a loud shout sounded out from the edge of the sky garden. Everyone turned around and saw 4 young men standing at the edge of the sky garden. 3 men and 1 woman. All 4 of them had arrogant expressions on their faces, and the leading man was a tall and muscular man, even more muscular than Nangong Wendian. A genius from the Shangguan clan is here. I know him, his name is Shangguanile, a genius from the younger generation of the Shangguan clan. He just broke through to the combat soul realm not long ago. I never thought he would come here as well. Damn it, he has broken through to the combat soul realm at such a young age, I'm so jealous. But, look at this guy, he doesn't look friendly. Perhaps it has something to do with Jiang Qin. Jiang Qin killed all the people from the Shangguan clan in the desert, there's no way they wouldn't be angry. Seeing Shangguanile's arrival, many people started whispering to each other. Some even had fearful expressions on their faces. Putting aside the mighty reputation of the Shangguan clan, just the fact that Shangguanile was a combat soul warrior was more than enough to frighten anyone. A genius combat soul warrior was not someone ordinary combat soul warriors could compare with. Shangguanile's strength was much stronger than Shangguan Chong, who was killed by Jiang Qin. Right at this moment, the 4 geniuses from the Shangguan clan threw their glances at the sky garden. Seeing that half of the garden had been taken away, a greedy expression emerged on their faces. Luckily, all the herbs were precious. Everyone, listen up. From now on, this garden belongs to the Shangguan clan. No one is allowed to pick any more herbs. Shangguanile's voice was loud and clear, causing even the air to tremble. His words immediately caused everyone's expressions to change. Damn it, the Shangguan clan doesn't have to be so overbearing. This garden doesn't belong to them. Fuck them, they want to keep such a huge treasure all to themselves. The Shangguan clan is too arrogant. How could he do that? These herbs are ownerless, and whoever has the ability can get them. If that Shangguanile has the ability, he can just break the defense mechanism and get those herbs himself. But, isn't his way of doing things a bit too overbearing? Everyone's expressions changed when they looked at the Shangguan clan. They were gnashing their teeth in anger. These herbs didn't belong to anyone, and they were the ones who discovered them first. How could Shangguanile just take them away with just a few words? You've already obtained quite a lot of spiritual herbs. Don't be too greedy. Shangguanile said with a sneer. Many people started to curse in their hearts. Greedy? Who was the greedy one? Before your Shangguan clan appeared, there were geniuses from all sorts of superpowers here. Not to mention the other superpowers, even that mighty Jiang Qin wasn't as greedy as your Shangguan clan. This is ridiculous. Brother Lei said that all the herbs here belong to the Shangguan clan, no one is allowed to take any of them. The girl from the Shangguan clan said with a clear voice. Looking at her alluring appearance, many men were gnashing their teeth in anger. They wished they could just strip her naked and fuck her. Of course, they could only think about it in their hearts, no one dared to take action. Furthermore, as soon as the woman finished speaking, no matter how unwilling the crowd was, they all stopped what they were doing. None of them dared touch the herbs anymore. Even the superpowers from the other provinces had the same reaction, they couldn't afford to offend the Shangguan clan. Bang! Right at this moment, the sound of a defense mechanism breaking could be heard. The Huang dog ate a spiritual herb with a single bite, then he walked over to another one. On the other side, Jiang Qin didn't even look at the Shangguan clan, he just kept collecting herbs. Nangong Wendian and Han Yen were the same. Both of them were whistling with a prideful look on their faces. Both of them were working together to destroy the defense mechanism and collect the herbs. Right at this moment, the three men and the dog's performance was really eye-catching. However, the crowd was secretly cheering in their hearts. All of them hated the Shengguan clan, and most of them knew about Jiang Chen's identity. If there was anyone here who dared to fight the Shengguan clan, it would undoubtedly be Jiang Chen. Bastard, I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me? The girl was like a tigress, she was even more arrogant than the men. She immediately started cursing at Jiang Chen and the others. Bitch, why are you barking so loudly? Do you think you're a pervert? The Huang dog turned around and said to the girl. After that, he continued digging for herbs. Many people secretly gave the Huang dog a thumbs up. This dog was really incredible. He actually dared to call a genius from the Shengguan clan a bitch. His courage was really admirable. However, when they thought about his performance during the Blissful Islands auction, they felt relieved. However, the Huang dog's words had completely ignited the girl's anger. She immediately flew into a rage. Damn dog, I'm going to tear you into a million pieces. The girl immediately dashed forward. A soft whip appeared in her hand, and she immediately lashed it toward the Huang dog. The whip was like a venomous snake, and since this girl was a peak late divine core warrior, if anyone was hit by this whip, they would definitely be smashed into pieces. Among all the young disciples from the Shengguan clan, besides Shengguan Ilong and Shengguan Ilay who were both combat soul warriors, the rest of them were also very strong, all of them were late divine core warriors. Shengguan Ilong had obtained some benefits from the tunnel, so he and the others hadn't come out yet. Shengguan Ilay had brought these four men out first. He never expected someone would dare challenge the Shengguan clan's dignity. Swoosh! With incredible speed, the Huang dog instantly hid behind Nangong Wendian's back. It was as if the soft whip had a mind of its own. It suddenly changed its direction and lashed toward Nangong Wendian. It looked like it was going to kill Nangong Wendian as well. Humph! How dare you look down on the Shengguan clan's dignity? You deserve to die as well. The girl was extremely domineering, she was going to kill Nangong Wendian. Damn bitch! Nangong Wendian's eyes instantly turned cold. The myriad stars ruler appeared in his hand, and it shone brightly with bright blue starlight. Nangong Wendian raised it high up into the air, then he swung it toward the girl. Paw! Both attacks collided, causing the girl to cry out in alarm. The soft whip in her hand was sent flying away by Nangong Wendian. At the same time, Nangong Wendian's attack didn't slow down at all, and the heavy myriad stars ruler smashed onto the girl's body. Ah! The girl let out a miserable shriek, then she opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body flew backward like a kite with a broken string, like a withered flower petal. Sister Ling! One of the young men from the Shengguan clan cried out in alarm. He quickly reached out and caught the girl in his arms. However, the girl's eyes were tightly shut, and after twitching a few times, she stopped breathing. She was dead. Sister Ling, Brother Lei, Sister Ling is dead. The young man cried out in pain. What? Shengguan Ilay furiously cried out. His eyes were almost shooting out flames. Someone actually dared to kill someone from the Shengguan clan in front of so many people. This was simply outrageous. Kaka, Brother Nan, I never expected you to be so fierce. You even dare to hit a girl, you're such a jerk. The Huang dog burst into laughter. She's just a bitch who only knows how to bark, so what if I kill her? Nangong Wendian shrugged his shoulders, showing an indifferent expression. As for why Nangong Wendian dared to kill someone from the Shengguan clan, and why he could kill a peak divine core genius with just a single strike. Some people were shocked, but some were calm. Those who knew Nangong Wendian clearly knew that he was Jiang Chen's man, and the grudge between them and the Shengguan clan was irreconcilable. Therefore, they wouldn't show any mercy to him. Furthermore, Nangong Wendian was someone who could fight combat soul warriors head-on, so killing a divine core warrior would be a piece of cake for him. So what if I kill her? Hearing what Nangong Wendian said, the 3 disciples from the Shengguan clan couldn't take it anymore, especially Shengguanilei. He immediately locked his gaze onto Nangong Wendian. I don't care who you are, kneel down in front of my sister Ling's body and repent right now, then kill yourself on the spot. If I attack, I'll make you wish you were dead. Shengguanilei pointed his finger at Nangong Wendian. Who do you think you are? Fight me if you have the guts. Nangong Wendian was someone who could be persuaded by reason, but not cowed by force. He immediately raised the huge ruler in his hand and pointed it towards Shengguanilei. You're courting death. Shengguanilei was really furious now. With a sway of his body, he arrived in front of Nangong Wendian, then he forcefully unleashed a palm strike toward Nangong Wendian. So strong. Nangong Wendian's expression changed slightly. This Shengguanilei was really strong. Shengguan Chong couldn't compare with him at all. If they were at the same cultivation realm, Nangong Wendian wouldn't put Shengguan Chong in his eyes. But the gap between the divine core realm and the combat soul realm was huge. With Nangong Wendian's current cultivation, he could fight an early combat soul warrior like Shengguan Chong, but if he wanted to fight a genius like Shengguanilei, there was still a huge gap. Myriad Stars ruler. Nangong Wendian was a brave man. Without hesitation, he swung the huge ruler in his hand toward the bright palm strike. Boom! A powerful shockwave swept across the place. Nangong Wendian was no match for Shengguanilei, and was knocked flying away. However, because of his incredible strength, he didn't suffer any injuries. Han Yen grabbed him and pulled him back. Right at this moment, the Huang dog attacked. He immediately unleashed the soul-crunching tune. At the same time, Jiang Chen attacked from the other side. 3 ferocious flood dragons dashed toward Nangong Wendian. These 2 powerful attacks caused Shengguanilei's expression to instantly change. Especially the soul-crunching tune, it made him feel as if his soul was being torn apart. Luckily, he had already formed his combat soul, and was able to react quickly. He immediately took out his perfect-ranked combat weapon and blocked the joint attack from Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog. Even so, Shengguanilei still took a few steps back, and his face turned pale. How is this possible? Shengguanilei was shocked. With his combat strength, he was actually forced back by 2 divine core warriors. This was ridiculous. He stared at the man and dog in front of him, and suddenly, Jiang Chen's name popped up in his mind. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.